Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Bussin with the Boys. This episode is episode 219. Am I correct in saying that?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, really. We're so many. We're so many into this.
374.
Yeah, episode 2468. Listen, no, we're High Vibes podcast. I have to get a quick announcement out of the way. I'm in an unfortunate circumstance where I have had to file a lawsuit against the people and entities that are involved with my surgery from October of 2020. We all know how lawyers work. We all know how all that stuff is. If this thing goes to court or whatever, they could use anything against me. But I want to take this opportunity on this podcast to let all of you know what's kind of going on in my life. Fans that have followed my career, seeing those years before the ACL surgery and then obviously after the ACL surgery, kind of wondering, what the hell is happening with Lewan. And so, it's a positive podcast, but a lot of times there's areas for vulnerability, and I really wanted to make sure that I was able to share this with you guys, because for the last, since 2020, it sucked. It's been tough, but I would love to sit here and vent and tell you for the next hour and a half how tough of a situation this has been. But the reality is I just can't right now. When I can, I will definitely share more when I'm able to. But like I said, we all know how lawyers work. So with that being said, let's talk about Chevy Silverado, shall we?
Let's talk about the Chevy Silverado. Let's
dude.
get these vibes back up.
You guys know that we're truck guys through and through, and Chevy Silverado has been a partner with unstoppable grit and determination. It's been our most valuable truck, that MVT. And now, the first ever all-electric Silverado joins the franchise. We got a chance to see these things and experience it. Let me tell you something real quick, boys. Absolute game changer.
Yes. Tell them about the midgate. Tell them about that.
I'll tell you about all the midgate, dude. Available 400-mile range. GM estimated on a full charge over 10 feet of length in the bed with the multi-flex tailgate combined with the multi-flex midgate. Multi-flex midgate, we talked about it last time. It's that little piece. It's that piece that people don't really have.
That sturdy piece.
It's a sturdy piece that can open up. So if you're in the back, if you're in the cab of the truck and you want to get to the back, you want to do that shimmy or something like that, you might be at a red light. You can just shimmy back there, dude, because that's what the midgate's all about. Yeah. Large 17-inch diagonal display screen. It can tow up to 10,000 pounds of max towing.
Tell them about my 40 time.
Dude, 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds with wow mode, working title, up to an impressive 785 foot-pounds of torque. Did we get a definition of torque?
Yeah, you got to listen to last week's episode for the definition.
For the definition.
Because we don't have it memorized yet.
We don't have it memorized yet. No. Head over to Chevy.com to learn more. Obviously, boys in the back here, handsome as ever, but there's a couple new handsome faces. My boy Chris Brown in the blue hat backwards, and his buddy Summers. Correct? Am I correct in saying Summers?
Chris Summers.
Chris Summers. So two Chris's, double the handsome for the back of the bus. Absolutely outstanding. Boys, how do we feel being here on this bus? There's a microphone right there. How do we feel?
On camera.
Oh, we're on camera too.
Yeah.
It's like really official.
Listen, now for those of you who don't know, both these guys played hockey. You know how hockey players do interviews, very dry, very just get to the point. Not a whole lot of personality. This is not that place. I know my boys went out last night, had a little bit of hair of that dog this morning. How we feeling?
Felt better, I think. Oh,
no.
This is my first time, if you guys couldn't tell. I felt better, but happy to be here. Thank you for the self-invite that I invited myself to the bus. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, no, happy to be here. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, though. We talked about that.
Yeah, it's been a minute. When's the last time we did see each other?
I hope it's not your wedding.
No.
I was supposed to see you at a game. You were supposed to play, then you got hurt. We're not going to talk about it.
No, but we already talked about that.
We're not going to talk about
We're high vibes now.
But yeah, I think that was the last time I saw you. It could have been your wedding, which is a shame. A damn shame.
That's 6 years ago, Chris.
Well, do the math. 365 days times 6. I think it's been
something up there.
I think it's been a lot of days.
Thank God we don't do math in this podcast.
No, we don't. We don't know
1,000 days, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was after? No. I saw you at your bachelor party too, which was a year later.
No.
What?
I don't think so.
Huh?
No.
How long have you been married for?
Great question. 7 years.
When's the date?
This will be 7 years. July 15th.
I've got him by a year. I got him by 3 months.
Yeah.
So you're been a long time. The doctor.
But it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a real long time.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
You've dropped a lot of weight since then. Yeah. But yeah, you look good.
Thanks, man.
Well, you look great.
Thank you, man.
Taylor, you look good, but you look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it the smile?
Well, I would say so, but it's hard to tell now that somebody copied you with that smile. So
Yeah. I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
Will, how we doing, buddy? How's life?
I'm still digesting the announcement. Are you're suing the doctor?
Yeah.
That did your knee.
Yeah, the individuals involved in my knee and the entity. I'd be very specific.
I need names and I'll take care of it.
The complaint has been filed, so anyone who wants to go see it can look it up and go find it.
Give me a name, I'll handle it.
I'll tell you later. You gotta cut that there. You gotta bleep that. But yeah, dude. Suing. I never thought in my life I'd be a guy that sued somebody.
You know how badly I want to ask you about this, right?
Go ahead, ask me one question. Ask me
No.
whatever you want.
What do you think they did wrong?
You know, I think we need to go in farther into this this case, before I can really talk any further about it. I don't think my lawyers would allow me to say it this time.
What do you think about the doctor as a person?
When I met him, I loved him.
What about now?
My emotion towards him is one of those deals where it's just like, I'm not angry. I'm just really, really, I'm sad.
Sad.
Yeah.
Could you say you're disappointed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am disappointed.
We'll wait. Maybe Thursday.
Maybe
I
Thursday.
can ask a couple more questions.
You know what? This
Because I was
Thursday,
just trying to-
I'll
I was
answer
just
more
trying to test
questions.
you. Like, I know you wanted me to see if I could PR you a little bit and see
Yeah.
if you just handle
And
yourself.
you kind of did.
I know
kinda
you're like-
bodied me a little
you're like,
bit,
Go
dude.
ahead. And I was like, okay, what questions can I
Yeah, I
ask?
saw that little brain working. Your mouth got real open.
That's
Taking in
nuts,
the
though,
information.
dude.
Yeah, it's a wild deal. Hopefully, it all gets just figured out and it's all done. And I can speak about it more because I like people to know what's going on with my career. I love it. There it is. Well, what else is going on, boys? We had
The draft
the
happened.
draft happened. Now we got a couple Titans fans in here. I'd like to hear from Garrett and Jack how they feel the Tennessee Titans did in this draft.
I got a question first.
Okay.
And Jack, can we also pull up
Is it not up?
No.
Lock.
Is it the
You
dot?
gotta get a better.
technical difficulties? Maybe it's time
This
after
is the adversity you work with on the
maybe
bus,
it's time
boys.
after 3-4 years we can get a better fucking monitor than this one.
Maybe.
My question was going to be, what was it like watching the draft, not being a part of a team the first year?
Ooh,
That's a good question.
Not even about the Titans.
Yeah.
He flipped it.
To be honest with you, there was so much going on at Barstool and I was wearing so many hats that I chose to wear. Like, I wasn't really even supposed to do anything. And then I decided halfway through I was going to sit next to Frank and feed him hot dogs after every single
And
choice.
I packed all my game jerseys from all the teams I've been
Yeah.
on. I'm like, hey, I got this little.
So I literally had to run behind the set, put a jersey on, run back. Dude, here's how I feel about that first round pick, Peter Skoronski. I think this is his time. I hope to God he has 3 times the career I did. I really do, because like my relationship with the Titans is outstanding. Obviously I got cut, but like the best thing to do when you enter a relationship is leave it better than the way you found it. And I was able to do that. The last couple of years didn't go the way I wanted it to individually, but at the same time, I like truly want the best for that franchise. And I hope he's the answer at left tackle. I mean, he might play guard, he might play tackle. Who knows where he's going to go, but I know he's rocking those 7s. He DM'd me and asked me for permission to wear the 7s. But to go back to your question,
Paying homage. You got to respect.
yeah,
that.
it was just really cool. I thought to myself, brother, you ain't got to ask me for nothing. Like, go take what's yours.
We need to get him on the bus.
Yeah. I talked to, he's represented by Pat Collins. Yeah.
That should be.
Him and Will Levis are both represented by Pat
really?
Collins. Yeah. So I thought we could have them both on the same
We
time.
need to get the boys on the bus.
Yeah, get them on the bus. But I'm extremely excited and happy for him. As far as like my emotion during it, when that 11 pick did happen, it was like I wasn't sad. It was kind of like a tip of the cap. Like this is the end of that chapter, and I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish. During
Kind of a weird coincidence, too.
yeah, 11th overall
11,
pick,
77.
Big 10, 77
Left tackle.
left tackle. It's a cool contrast, and I hope that for 30 years there's been 3 left tackles for the Titans and part of the Houston Oilers. So for me, it's like I hope that continues. So in 40 years, it's like, man, they've had 4 tackle in 40 years.
Yeah, it's almost like the Green Bay Packers, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
Except
much
without
more
the-
valuable positions,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Much
and
more valuable.
without the Super Bowls, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You need to go sit with Chris. Because both of you got something going on today. Got too much attention on me or something like that. But it was cool, man. And I was very happy. I wanted them to get him. Him or Paris Johnson Jr. are the two picks I wanted.
You got to be fired up for the boy Paris Johnson,
dude. 6 overall pick, and dude,
yeah,
shout out the Cardinals.
Let's give him a clap.
Shout out the Cardinals at 3, trading back, letting whatever happened happen, then trading back up to get their guy. They played some chess, them along with the Houston Texans.
Before we move on to the Texans too, like Paris, we were all in a group chat and Paris was saying like he wants to go 3 overall. We didn't know how healthy that was of like a guess, but he seemed to want to go to Arizona, and probably when they traded out, they traded back and then back up to 6. And when they got him, you could see that emotion in the green room that he had to do was fired the fuck up that he went to the team.
Yeah.
That he was sort of guessing like this is where I'm probably gonna go.
Yeah, he did say Cardinals at 3. It was Cardinals at 6. It's all good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, and he's just a sweet boy.
He's
just a sweet boy, dude. Meeting him, being around him. He came to the live show when we were in Columbus. The guy he's just a good fucking dude. He'll randomly hit me and Will up and just be like, "Hey, what's up, boys?" Like,
did he do what we asked? Did we find out if he shouted
us out?
Boys?
He said he shouted us out
on that interview right after the stage, right after the podium.
Yeah, I think no, I don't know about that. It was so hard to tell because the Barstool.
No, we were at the Barstool thing.
There was no volume.
Yeah. Now Taylor was talking about Houston. Houston fucking murdered the draft.
Literally did draft day. They did the movie Draft Day. Incredible.
Yeah. Will Anderson Jr., CJ Stroud.
Not in that order.
CJ Stroud at 2. You know it messed up a lot of things. I think a lot of teams were eyeing trading
one team.
3. Titans.
Yeah. That's what we both thought.
Yeah.
When those rumors started happening a couple hours before, because when they picked CJ Stroud, you're like, Taylor. Like, looked at me like I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
I was over there with hot dogs in hand. Yeah. Just trying to feed Frank the Tank.
Yeah.
Just trying to feed his ass. But yeah, dude, fuck. And you always want a little bit of chaos during the draft. Like, that's what we tune in for. And like, because the Texans aren't my team, it was cool to see. It was cool to fucking watch them pick at 2. And you're like, all right, they got the quarterback. What's going to happen next? And all of a sudden they do it again.
They were nowhere near. That was not rumored whatsoever. I think that one came out of left field.
They really got, they got both their guys.
Trading up to 3. Everybody was talking about that 3 spot. Like, who's going to trade up? Cardinals are willing to deal the number 3 overall pick. And you need some water, bum?
I do. I got that thing that I found out. The reason why I got sick. Will, do you want to tell him why I got sick?
No.
You don't want to?
But yeah, that Cardinals pick was up in the air. They were open about it. And then everybody's kind of wondering who's going to jump up to 3. I was hoping that the Titans would jump up to 3.
And take who?
CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, but
because I didn't think Houston was going to take CJ Stroud. When Houston took CJ Stroud at number 2, I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. I didn't see this coming at all.
Right.
Because I thought he's repped by the same agent as Deshaun Watson. And I was out there saying, like, there ain't no way that the Texans are going to deal with CJ Stroud when they have that close relationship with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And then when they picked him at 2, I was like, fuck, what's going to happen now? I'm pretty sure a lot of teams thought Stroud might be there at 3. I wonder what teams now are out being like, hey, how are we going to pivot here? And then seeing the Cardinals trade back for Houston to trade up, it's like, what the fuck is happening?
There's a wild.
And they take Will Anderson Jr., which has got to fire head coach Danico Ryans up. Because when you're a head coach and a new head coach, it's not like you're sitting here thinking like, oh, we need that first overall quarterback. You're wanting a fucking defensive guy. You want that defensive guy, that cornerstone, that corner piece.
You want that next JJ Watt.
Yeah, because the chances that Danico Ryan's going to sit there and coach CJ Stroud isn't high. So he's excited about, I want to build whatever my reputation is going to be around a defensive player. So they get Stroud, and then they get Will Anderson Jr., the best defensive player in the draft. Like, hats off to the Houston Texans. Then Cardinals trade back. Who picks at 3?
Texans.
Oh, yeah, Texans. My fault.
Who picked at 4?
The Colts. So the Colts in the AFC South, they get a quarterback, Anthony Richardson. Now, if these boys pan out, there's going to be nothing but killers in the AFC South. You got Justin Lawrence.
Yep.
You got CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. Hey, my question to...
Hey, there's one more in there.
Yeah, at this moment in time, my question to Titans faithful is, what was everybody thinking at that moment?
Yeah.
It's Trevor Lawrence. I hate that I have to correct you.
Yeah, I heard that too, and I didn't know what to say.
All the time. You know I'm fucking stupid. We know I'm stupid.
You're not stupid. You're not stupid, dude. You just get miscombobulated sometimes. You're not dumb.
Well, don't talk to yourself like that, man.
Dude, positive vibes.
Yeah.
Keep the positive fucking vibes up.
What were you guys thinking?
Well, I got another kind of question, and it was my thought is, if after seeing Stroud go 2, and then the Titans don't go to 3, does that mean that the Titans were not even interested in Anthony Richardson?
So they might have been, but you don't know. Yeah,
but now listen to this. Here's where I think, and this is me just playing GM. Texans picked 2. Houston picked 3. There probably was a debate going back and forth. You only got 10 minutes to do it.
Negotiation for that.
Seems like
trade.
and the Texans had more draft.
15.
What's that? Which is all correct, right?
Yeah,
That's all facts.
That's fucking facts.
You're right. That's facts. That's not being redundant, Mitch. That's fucking using my words correctly.
That's
There
range,
was probably some sort of back and forth of who's going to do what, right?
Yes.
And then the Houston Texans had more draft capital than the Titans, so they end up winning that battle. Now there's 4 to get Anthony Richardson. 4 is the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are not going to trade a high draft pick to somebody that's in their division. It's not going to happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's a good thought on
For the 3 spot. Is that like, was there hesitation now that the Titans didn't go to 3 because Stroud was gone? So like that's kind of my question. Knowing
like,
that
hey, should
the
we give
Colts
up for
are at
Anthony
4.
Richardson? Yeah.
I think that goes back to what I said about draft capital. I think the Cardinal. I'm
Maybe they tried.
let's say they both went in, and the Titans called like, "Hey, let us get out there," and Houston called like, "Houston's going to win that battle because they have more ammo."
Yeah, and Arizona just didn't call back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll get right back.
did
Took that call from Houston. Said, "Yep, you got it.
Done.
You've absolutely got it." And then traded back up to 6, dude. What a fucking deal. Seattle playing his day. Just fucking did what
Trading
they
up
had
to
do.
Denver, but I love that Devin Witherspoon pick. Devin Witherspoon pick. That's the dude that plays fucking physical as a corner.
Dude, and it's crazy that Illinois has these players. It's just, I feel like they always have like a first round draft pick.
They always
somewhere.
have something somewhere.
When we were in college, it was like they had who was the guy that fucking put me in a blender for Houston? Huh?
Oh, you're
Put
talking
me
about
in a blender.
No, you're talking
Whitney-
about
Whitney Merciless.
Yeah.
Whitney Merciless. There was like a Buchanan guy that went to the Patriots, also first round draft pick. They had a D tackle that went first round. This is all like when we were in college.
Right.
Out there dusting dudes. So Illinois, like, why can't they get their shit together?
Right.
They kind
Campaign
of always had a
sucks,
little
though.
running back too.
Hey,
that?
Weirdly had like a decent running back
Yeah.
always too.
And they can't win games. How many games did Illinois win last year, Jack?
they won enough. I think they were a tough team now. We were right in Illinois like the
on
whole
the way
season
up.
on Bet the Bus.
You
Yeah.
think so?
Fighting Illini.
Didn't they fight? Did they fire their head coach?
No.
Oh, he's crushing.
He's a staple. Yeah. It's Bielma.
Yeah.
Brett Bielma. He's building that culture off the run game and defense. And Witherspoon, he will knock your dick in the dirt. He is the type.
They
of
showed the
corner.
highlights, dude.
He is the type of corner that you want on your team. I
Yeah.
think he's a stud. But look, boys were 8-5. What we talking about now?
Oh,
Illinois is
shit.
out there moving. They're making moves.
Yeah, they almost were in the Big Ten championship. Well, scroll down a little bit. There they are, Nebraska.
Come on, don't disrespect my boys. You know we got a new regime.
there they are, dude. 3-5.
You know we got our new regime right now,
Yeah, new regime and a whole lot of room for improvement.
which we are improving. You saw Casey Thompson. He's not winning the job coming out of the spring game or coming out of spring ball. He's transferring. He entered the transfer portal. Casey Thompson did.
Is that the kid we interviewed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's transferring again.
Yeah, he's transferred because he's not going to win the job. That QB that transferred
That's
up,
fucking tough, dude.
that quarterback that transferred up from Georgia Tech, apparently he's playing some good ball out there.
From Georgia
Justin-
Tech.
Wait,
Yeah.
Justin Sims? Or-
Yeah,
Hey, he's a beast.
yeah, he's playing some
Oh, he's
good
a
ball.
beast like that.
Yeah.
He's apparently playing some good ball. So he, Coach Rule had a conversation with Casey. It was, they just had to have like a heart to heart about what the opportunity is going to look like.
Yeah, what are Casey's opportunities are going to look like? You transfer because he didn't win a job, right? So he left. And then
Yeah, they were going to compete in fall camp. I want to say Casey was
I'm talking about
rehabbing
where he
shoulder.
was before Nebraska.
Texas.
He was at Texas,
Correct.
and he did not sniff the starting role there.
Well, he sniffed it, but he got he lost out on the job going into that.
Yeah, he was the
the
dude
middle of the year,
until-
right?
He was the dude until halftime of the Oklahoma game, and then that's when Caleb Williams became Caleb Williams.
That's right.
Is that
Oh,
right?
man. And then he leaves.
No, that's not right.
Yeah,
because
Caleb
Williams,
is
USC.
Oklahoma.
He got
Yeah, that's
hurt,
Oklahoma. You're talking about Spencer Rattler.
Spencer
But I
Rattler.
know what you're talking about. He got hurt, right?
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
hurt his-
Right. Right.
You at Nebraska, and then you want to get in the transfer portal. I'm not saying anything against Nebraska. It's a second transfer. Like, where's he going to
Yeah.
go next?
I think what sucks for him to
FAU.
play devil's advocate, I think what sucks for him is I think he was recovering from a shoulder injury. You get a whole new coaching staff that comes in. They got their guy, and who's it, Justin Sims, who came up from Georgia Tech. Apparently, he's a little bit of a baller. So coach had to just let him know, like, hey, it's going to be a competition. And Casey probably just didn't like hearing that it was going to be competitive, and he was going to start off as the number 2. They probably just jumped in that portal because you got one more year to make it shake, brother.
Make it shake.
Make it shake.
Man, we'll see what happens, brother.
Yeah, we'll see what
But
happens.
shout out Illinois, dude, for really bringing it home.
Yeah, bring up that draft. Bring up that first round again. Hey, but the boys, how do we feel about Will Levis? Let's ask this is where you guys need to answer. We need the Titans fans, Jack McPherson, Garrett Hargis.
Now, something to think about Jack McPherson, dude. His Twitter got hacked after the 11th overall pick for the Tennessee Titans. He said, thank God it wasn't Will Levis. You didn't say that.
No, it was the first round. Someone got access to my Twitter. They were tweeting a lot of Will Levis slander. I don't know who it is to this day,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm kind of indifferent on the situation. We'll just kind of have to see. I think there's promise in him, but I've got a few friends online. I'm not going to say their names specifically, but they're like hell-bent that he's going to be winning us championships. And look, I want us to win championships, but I'm also going to be realistic. Like, Will Levis is most likely not going to be that guy. And if he is, I will retract my statement, eat my words, and shake his hand. Because I hope that he's going to be the guy for us. But now we have 3 fucking quarterbacks on our roster. We're spending $30 million plus with no guarantees on any of them. We drafted another running back. I'm like very up in arms a little bit about our draft. I love Skoronski. I think he's going to be a great pick for us. I wanted Paris. Obviously, he fell sooner. His draft stock was way too high to drop to 11. But I just feel like we're filling gaps where we didn't need to fill them, and like we need to figure out these problems that we have that are existent in terms of our starting quarterbacks, where we're going to go in terms of our running backs. If Derek's going to still be there, we got to fill out our line. Skoronski's obviously a great start, but again, I'm not a draft like analyst guy. So is Will Levis?
I do love this conversation.
Bro, you're speaking as a fan. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is
speak your truth, Jack.
I think I'm a lot more happy that we got.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
The only thing you were talking.
I'm so glad you went in that because he was unraveling.
No, well, I want him to continue. I want him to continue to talk. But you're like, we got these problems at running back. Number one, I think they took a kid 3rd round.
Yeah, from
Tulane.
Who seems to be a beast. They're going to have Derek. So let's just say running back is fine. O-line, yeah, they have holes. I think they did a good job addressing it by drafting Peter Skoronski, who seems like a stud out of Northwestern. Taylor, that's your favorite. That was your favorite tackle going into
He's the most well-rounded offensive lineman in the entire draft.
A lot of people are saying like this is going to be a guy that coaches love to have because as far as technique, knowing how to do it and all that shit, he's very polished. Right. All he needs to do is learn the playbook and he's going to hit the ground running. Seems like a good pick. Seems like he's going to pick up the playbook being a Northwestern guy. Now, but then you make it seem like they addressed those problems. Are you talking about on the outside skill positions?
No, I just said I love the Skoronski pick.
He loves the Skoronski pick.
I was really hoping we were going to take some kind of lineman. I did not want some like big time player, a CJ Stroud first pick. We have so many holes in our offensive line right now that we have to address that. And I love that. I wish we could have gotten Paris just from a personal tie, but I think Skoronski could be the long term.
What don't you like about Levis?
Everything. Dude, he was.
He's going to be on the bus soon. This will be.
Yeah, I know, and I have nothing against him as like
he's a stoolie too. He'll listen to this.
Yeah.
Look, he was SEC East guy. We played him against Tennessee. We absolutely donkeyed them. Will Levis is like he was a pretty decent quarterback for the SEC, but like nothing crazy. I just feel like there's like a lot of like outspoken things he says, and like there's like weird. There's like the
mayonnaise thing.
Yeah, I don't
banana
give a
peel
shit about
thing.
the mayo and coffee. Obviously, that's that shouldn't be a thing. But I'm not gonna be like he puts mayo in his coffee. Like, no, you'll never play in the NFL. I don't care. But if we'd taken him in the first round, I would have been devastated because the draft stock way too low to be going first round. Second round, I guess the trade up. Still not sure if we made the right decision. I don't know. I'm not an analyst. I'm just going to sit back and let time tell if this was a good pick. And again, I'm a Titans fan, so I hope that Will Levis pans out to be a long-term guy for us. I don't know if he will, but I hope he comes on the bus and we can talk it over and he can change my mind on him as a person. But as of right now, I love Skoronski, and that's kind of where I stand.
I got a question.
Okay,
I got a question.
I fucking love Jack, dude.
Fuck, Jack's out there in demon mode.
I see.
Put mine on him as a person.
I see where you're coming from. Do you feel a little bit that it was kind of karma?
Karma
For the state of
me?
No, hold on. Well, that kind of answered
Never
it.
know.
But for the whole state of Tennessee being Titans and Vols fans, that they now have to root for like somebody that they didn't like. I just
Fair question.
I think it's
question.
a fair question.
Because if they would have took Hooker,
No, I would prefer Will Levis over Hooker. He seems like a more go ahead. I've said this on Twitter. This isn't a like I just don't know if I would have taken a quarterback too when we have a lot of other issues at hand. So I hope he pans out. And no, I don't think it's karma. I do think it's hilarious that in the first round everyone's like, fuck yeah, we evaded Will Levis, and then second round, second
Straight
pick,
up.
Immediately.
straight up, and we
now
snag
there
him.
were a lot of rumors that the Titans, along with other teams, were fiercely trying to trade up into that late first round to take Will Levis.
Really?
Yes, because everybody wants that 5th-year option on a quarterback.
Sure.
And so if you're taking him at 33 as opposed to 32 or 29 or something like that, there's a lot of give there because it gives him time to develop and not have to pay him those big bucks and put people around him. So how mad would you be if the Titans traded into the first round?
I'm not doing hypotheticals.
Yeah, you don't
have time for
comment
that
on
right
My
now.
bad, bro.
Yeah,
My
man.
fucking bad. This is a podcast about talking. But yeah, fuck that shit, dude. Never mind.
It's even funny
I
that's how
hope-
you handle it.
I don't do hypotheticals.
I do hope that Will Levis comes on the bus soon because he seems like a guy that people are going to want to hear about. And I do too. I want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, you want to change your mind on him as a person.
A person, a
Did you
player.
see him get hyped when he got announced to the
That
Titans?
got me hyped. He was with the family. It seems like he's got a lot of heart. And so I hope he does well. Again, I'm not going to say anything else like after today about it until we see him play. And we just have, like, what are we going to do with Malik? Like, night, dog. I'm sorry, but you're gone. We can't have 3 of these QBs on the roster. Like, right?
You can.
Yeah, right?
We can, but
You
why
can, but
would
not.
we?
You don't want to dress 3 if you don't have to.
Exactly. And I
I
would
don't think we will.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
usually you don't.
Especially with the new rules of dressing people.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah, That's
not.
what I'm saying. Yeah, usually you don't.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
I think
What
my
does happen with him?
He was a 3rd round pick. He seemed like a project. There's a lot of headlines and stories out there on that the Titans have kind of given up on him. Don't know how true that is. I see the headlines like everybody else, and I do not read the articles. I just like to assume.
Yeah, that's the most fun part, dude. That clickbait.
Right. But, it's like, that's the fucking game, dude. I'm sure he was sitting there hoping that the Titans don't take a quarterback, been in that spot. You hope they don't fucking draft your position. Seemed like on the draft board, it was working out for the Titans. They wanted to move up and get Will Levis because they saw something in him that they like. And if he gets picked, it's like you see the fucking ticker, you're like, son of a bitch. But, I don't know what happens. It's up to him.
It's up to him.
It's truly up to him. Like,
Yeah.
it's up to him what happens.
Because if there's no dead cap for Ryan Tannehill, and they don't owe him any money, literally the Titans hope that Will Levis is good enough to cut Ryan Tannehill.
Correct.
That's what they hope.
you
That's just the business.
It's zooming out. You hope that Levis or Malik, either one, again, they're going to be competing for the backup job. It's Ryan Tannehill's job this year.
Yes.
They're going to be competing for the backup job, and you hope that one of those guys show you that, all right, we'll be able to move on with one of these quarterbacks. It's not like they're crowning Will Levis as the successor of Ryan Tannehill. They see something in him that they think can help the football team like right now or in the future. That's why they drafted him. They also thought the same thing with Malik last year. They're not saying that they don't not believe in him anymore. That's why they drafted Will Levis. But now you got 2 young quarterbacks who can compete for that job and hoping that they can overtake Ryan next year so that way they can cut him and relieve themselves of cap space. That's like the fucking business.
I think it's the
like
last year on
system.
Ryan's contract, right?
It is. So there's not even
regardless,
anymore,
yeah.
no matter what. Yeah, exactly.
You hope
You're
to
wanting
God,
to move on.
Yeah, you hope to God that if you're the Titans organization, that Will Levis shows enough improvement. Maybe depending on where you are from a record standpoint later in the season, you take Tannehill out, you put him in, give him that experience because if he's going to be your guy, you need to know right away.
Right. Depending on where the Titans are at.
They
Like
might draft another one.
if they're winning and they're fucking leading the division and all that stuff, yeah, they might draft a fucking other one.
Dude, if the Titans do not do well, let's say they have a top 10 pick, they might have to draft, depending on Will Levis, they might have to draft another one.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And then you're hoping one of them does pan out though, because they're on their rookie deal. You want to take advantage of building around your future quarterback when they're on a rookie deal, not some break the bank second contract. But yeah, man,
I do really like.
it'll be interesting.
I like the Tulane running back Tyjae Spears. Apparently, he's a feisty dude, and I really like the tight end pick.
So
Garrett really wanted Michael Mayer. You go on Garrett's Twitter,
Oh, yeah.
there's a Michael Mayer stan account.
yeah,
Here's-
so is
I
Chris
love
Long.
that.
bro.
But Michael Mayer
Makes
going to the
sense.
Raiders, that should be fun
All
for
hype
them.
for the boys in silver and black because
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah,
he's a
they
stud.
got a lot of spots to fill for tight end right now.
He's got that HGH head too. He's got a big
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
head,
that-
Michael Mayer.
He's
That
got
Johnny
all-
Bravo.
Yeah, he's got that
That
Johnny
Johnny
Bravo
Bravo.
fucking
Braves
head.
would be on that.
Dude, he
No
seemed like a
question
Braves
asked.
guy.
Exactly.
He did. I'm sure he was up there on their board. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Michael Mayer was up there probably on everybody's board. I'm fired up
Wait.
that the silver and black got him because they
Going
lost Darren Waller and now they got Michael Mayer, who I think's gonna hit the ground running because he just seems like that kind of dude. And Foster.
Going back to Tajay Spears, did you see all the reports coming out about his knees?
Yeah.
He got
What
some
do you
shaky
think?
knees.
He's got some shaky knees apparently. Now
You got that shake?
he got that shake.
You gotta
He got
get-
like
you gotta get
cartilage
on the line
damage
with
and
him?
all this stuff. Apparently at the combine, he almost didn't pass physicals or didn't pass physicals, one of the two. This is allegedly. I don't, I'm like you. I saw
Right.
the tweet and I happened to make it through all 144 characters or
Yeah,
140
exactly.
characters, but that's all I fucking saw, dude. Did it say it here?
I'm just scrolling.
Game-changing running back who's also effective at catching the ball. That is something that we need to have, effective catching the ball out of the backfield.
Does that mean Hilliard's
Won't
gone?
be able to handle a lot of carries at the next level.
Not gone. I'm telling you, like you, it's not like every rookie's expected to play
Right.
right away. They are expected to
Dontrell
contribute in
Hilliard.
some way.
Dude, Hilliard is a core 4 guy. He could easily go
Yeah.
step in on kickoff return, punt return, all
It's
that
just
stuff.
the nature of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That running back was there on their board when they wanted to have it.
6 running backs now.
Yeah, they got a lot of running backs. I think the biggest thing people are mad about is not taking a wide receiver.
See, I
Still
think
late.
the tight end pick will act as that missing
You think
receiving
so?
Is
piece.
his name Weil? Is
Yeah.
it Weil?
He has little
I
little
agree.
Delaney.
I agree,
I
but
think he's a beast.
this guy
Yeah.
is as tall as you, like apparently high ball guy. That's why I was confused. If you're gonna take a tight end later, why wouldn't you have taken Michael Mayer? But maybe it's because of his skill set.
Look, it seemed like
Michael
they had-
Mayer is a pass catching tight end.
Right.
Whoa. You hear that?
Yeah, I did. They
Little
get
bubble in the
that
throat
little
there.
bubble in there.
Whoops.
He also
that
likes to
sickness.
put. He also liked to put people in the dirt too. That's why you kind of love the attitude of Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
But this dude is a Josh Weil. You know,
Wiley.
Vrabe's probably fired up. He comes out of Cincinnati. Coach Fickle coached him forever.
Yeah.
Vrabes and Fickle are they're like best men at each other's weddings. So I'm sure they did all the due diligence to be like, oh, this is our fucking guy in the 5th
Yeah.
round.
One thing to put of note on the Titans draft, their picks, more white guys than they probably need. It was
All,
like 3-2.
all offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like seeing that bright. You don't like seeing that brightness.
Yeah.
On the
You
offensive
see them
side.
pale
guys know what I
face
mean?
when it comes up on the profile.
Deceiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. All hardworking, gritty, tough, smart guys.
Yeah. Now, if it's on the old line, that's where they belong. But you get on the outside, you like to see a little
They belong.
the white guys.
Yeah, what about Kyle Phillips? Another big head cat.
There's anomalies out there. You know what I mean? There's anomalies out there.
There's anomalies. Yeah. And speaking of anomalies, there's a white DB in the league.
Yes.
There's a white
Riley
DB in the
what's
league.
his name?
I didn't like the clap. We shouldn't have clapped. I did not like the way that felt when we all started
We
clapping.
got to be fucking proud. He's
Bro,
gonna-
Bussin here. We're missing.
Doesn't matter,
we're missing
bro.
the
Just fucking
diversity.
8 white guys celebrating a white
Yeah,
quarterback.
dude.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that is an anomaly, dude. And I'm pretty sure he's got a mustache too, and a mullet. Does he not?
I think he's going to move to safety soon.
And we didn't draft
He's
him.
got to. He's got to.
You got to
Yeah.
be fired up. White cornerback out of, where else? Iowa.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude, that's Iowa and Nebraska have weight, and Wisconsin.
Riley Moss.
Riley Moss.
Hey,
Pull up a
it's a
pro.
good
Let me
name.
see a
It's a
pic
good
of this
name.
cat, dude. 3rd round.
All eyes are going to be on him, dude,
Yeah.
during the offseason with all of us, with the DB room and everybody else. Like, look at this white boy out here balling.
Yeah. Man.
Dude, this
You gotta
one
go.
article about I guess Troy Apke was the only other white cornerback. This how it's titled is Troy Apke broke the NFL's 18-year run without a white quarterback.
Dude, 4.45.
Boy can move now.
Yeah. Only a 10th of a second
39
faster
inch
than
vert?
Will. 39?
He's a 10th of a second. True. That's true.
Oh, Chris, for those of you guys who don't know, Will says he ran
Yo,
a 4.5 at his pro day.
Strengths and weaknesses. It would be so funny if weaknesses was just white.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a
Pale.
cornerback,
Pale.
white cornerback.
It just says,
Yeah. That's fucking crazy. But yeah, the draft was a unique perspective this year, especially because we were in New York. Will did a phenomenal job, I thought. His word count was very low the entire time. However, when he spoke, he had some good shit to say, and his outfit was incredible.
Lower, I appreciate that. Lower than normal on the word count. I felt like being on the outside of that little of the 4 seats was a little difficult because Brandon and Roan had a really good report. Roan, shout out the boy. Brandon hosting the whole thing, but Roan coming in with some feedback and words like the dude, his brain, he's a freestyle fucking rapper that happens to also love sports. So I felt like he gave a lot of good intellect and added a lot of value to that. Then I had Che next to me, and I felt like Che was a little suppressed. And I think Caleb Presley came out of the gate early swinging on him and kind of hurt his confidence a little bit because Caleb had some weird energy coming on the
Caleb was bodying. Oh, well, he was just bodying.
He was just bodying. He was like, Stevie, you don't know.
He caught a lot of bullets. He caught a lot of bullets in the beginning. Also, Big Cat apparently plays a prank on him every single year. But this year the prank, this year the prank was not pulling a prank and just telling him, "Hey, good luck. You're gonna do great." And so I could feel that after the first 5 picks. I was like, "Oh, Stephen Shea is mentally fighting the battle right now."
He picked the shots. I thought he did well. And dude, your and Frank's little rapport, your guys' little dynamic duo throughout was a fun time.
Yeah, I remember when I gave him a hug when he first came in the building. I looked at my jacket and there was a nice little remembrance package he gave me of oil. That was nice, dude. I fucking love Frank, dude. He's yelling, just mad about the Mets, and all of a sudden he goes, "The Dolphins call you?" I was like, "Yeah."
The hug was nice,
dude. The hug, and the thing is too, I just put my arms out and let him come in.
Kind of slowly.
His like feet kind of just shuffled over and just gently got placed into my right pec. It was nice.
He kind of walks like a South Park character.
Yeah,
he's kind of
like yeah, he does.
Hey, we can't sleep on Will breaking the Bijan Robinson news.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, man. Dog, when that was happening.
Take us through that, brother.
Well, Coach Smith, I was like, early in the day, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be on the desk tonight for the Barstool Draft show. Like, would love the inside track whenever you know who you're getting." He's like, "I got you. I'll let you break it." And when the pick was coming up, I shot him in the eyes. I was like, "How you feeling?" And then all he shot me was a gif of Matthew McConaughey just hitting the chest. But to me, I thought he was just saying, like, the vibes are up. We're about to have it figured out. I'm going to have this pick to you in a second. Not knowing that he meant Matthew McConaughey. There's your tip. Texas Longhorns, Bijan Robinson. So then there's a group chat. Taylor hits it and it's like, "Hey, who's it going to be?" And then I shoot the eyes. I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to tell us in this chat. He's like, "I told Will, but I guess he didn't want to break it." And I'm thinking, what the fuck is he talking about? He didn't tell me.
That's on art, dude. He's got to understand that sometimes you don't see that shit. I'm not trying to come at you, but sometimes you don't pick up those pieces.
I'm working the phone though. I'm thinking to myself, I'm working the phones all the time.
It was so funny watching everybody at Barstool fucking just on their phones trying to get the next pick.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking.
I was doing it too. I was thinking everybody I knew.
These boys are doing a great job filling space right now, just talking conversation. I'm going to get us this pick, not knowing that Stephen Che had already said like, Falcons are going Bijan Robinson. And then I put my phone down, like, "Boys, got breaking news. Falcons are getting Bijan Robinson." And then Brandon Walker, you can run the clip. But Brandon Walker's just like, "Where in the fuck have you been?" And then I just kind of like, "That's on me. We make clips here."
Dude, me and Brandon Walker will fight at some point in this life.
I will say I thought he was trying to figure it out.
He was, but I made the conscious decision to not figure it out that day.
Yeah.
I did not want to figure our shit out that day. Dude, I had a tough one too. I got the news that Will Levis was being taken by the Titans early. So I tweeted it out. Will Levis to the Titans. I said it first. Refreshed it. And who's the fucking Ari guy that's always breaking the news fastest on Twitter? Ari Miroff. I refreshed it and it was like my tweet right like above his tweet. Like they're like 15, 20 seconds off. Motherfucker. Dude.
That is the tip you got though. So you knew the Titans were on the inside track with Will Levis, but when it didn't happen, you're like, okay, maybe that just
Mike
didn't
Vrabel
happen.
told me. No, he didn't. Did we even text Vrabel?
Vrabel never texted me. Yeah. He didn't text us back. He didn't text me back. I know the day before, whenever he was body bagging me for saying like, whenever I commented on the Malik Willis, like they weren't going to do anything in the playoffs, the Titans. Vrabel texts me and goes, "You don't know what me and you had in common last year?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Neither of us were going to do anything in the playoffs." I was like, God damn it, dude.
Body.
And I was like, "Hey, I'm on the desk tomorrow for the Barstool Draft show." I was like, "Hey, I need you to make a splash play." And then he just didn't text you back.
That's tough when he doesn't text you back. It's always on Vrabel's terms whether or not you're going to be friends that day.
Yeah.
I texted him the other day for that June 27th event. And I was like, "I want you to sing the national anthem." And he goes, "I got Morgan Wallen for you." Obviously, he's kidding. But I told him, I was like, "I'd much rather have you than Morgan Wallen."
Yeah, like, that's why I'm asking you.
And I literally, lent the olive branch. Was like, hey, you should come by though. Good group of dudes coming. Nothing. It's fucking tough.
He's working. You know, he's in it.
Yeah. And I obviously said he was overweight on part of my take podcast, so that's really going to put us down a couple more notches.
Yeah, especially if he listens to it. If part of my take, if
Vrabel is on that shit.
Yeah, but you think he's going to listen to the full hour or whatever?
No, but you know, part of it, they're going to clip that.
I know if they clip it, that's what you got to worry about.
Yeah,
they clip it and then tag Brave.
I kind of hope they do clip it.
Yeah.
I want Vrabel to know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll help him.
I remember when you were going through that, and then you're like looking over me. I was like, I don't know why you're looking at me.
Yeah, trying to get some fucking help from you, brother. That's what I was doing. But I'll tell you what, I saved Corey Levin's NFL career.
Yeah,
he looked like a muffin. I might have done the same for Vrabel. Saved him from heart failure.
Cardiovascular disease.
If he keeps fucking going, you don't know. It's incremental things, right?
I feel like he works his tail off. I just think genetically it's caught up to him. Gravity.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a diet thing for him.
You know, gravity, they kind of take your tits and you can start sagging a little bit. I feel like
you think he's got saggy tits? I don't think you know what he does? He does a great job with the vest.
Layering up.
Layering up.
Great job of
you don't know where it
up.
starts and where it finishes, though.
It's always fall for him.
Yeah, it is always fall.
Yeah,
it'll be like 95 degrees in July. He'll have that
JP's
fucking vest
taking
on.
shots at you now, too.
Yeah.
It's always fall for Vrabel.
He will see this.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, Jen will definitely show him. Should you hit a black tux?
I would love to hit a black tux. I think, matter of fact, JP, he hit the black tux over the weekend. Not to get all parental.
Solid start here on Black Tux, Bust with the Boys ad read.
It's time we had to talk. You know the one about that 3-letter word that ends in X. You probably have experienced it a few times in your life. Not that one. I'm talking about a tux, T-U-X. And when you need a tux, the best place to get one is the Black Tux. They make it super easy to get an on-trend, top quality, guaranteed to fit tux without ever leaving your house. Here's how it works. Take the Black Tux fit quiz. Pick the style you want to rock, and boom, your tux is delivered to your door 10 days before the day you need it. That's plenty of time to try it on and make sure it wears well. JP, can you comment, is that how this process works?
That is how the process works. And if something doesn't fit you right, you can send it back within the 3 days, and they'll get it back to you within 24 hours of you sending it to them. And something slept on too, after you have to go like ship it back, they send you an email. They're like, hey, if you are interested in purchasing it, you can just keep it, which is a smart sales move by them.
That is.
You've already seen how it looks, and it's just like, this would be easy.
And if you do like to do it in person, not at home, they have showrooms across the country. Their expert fit specialists will help you find the perfect style tux or suit and make sure it fits just right. Rent or buy the Black Tux is the best place to go when you need a tuxedo for a wedding or a special night. And right now, the boys got you. You're going to save $20 off your order. That's TheBlackTux.com/Bussin. TheBlackTux.com/Bussin. Use code Bussin. Save $20. That is TheBlackTux.com/Bussin. Code Bussin. Now we're back. We're back, boys. A little rocky at the start. JP, I think that's what people need to hear. They need to hear about somebody on the streets who's done this. Unfortunately, over the weekend, you did have a wedding where you were supporting.
And you looked fantastic, too. I saw the suspenders move.
Thank you.
That's a fucking move at weddings, dude. You put the suspenders on, you're living the dream.
I had a dress on also.
Yeah, I saw that photo as well.
Video will be leaking soon.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went well, dude. He was shocked. He's a very masculine, testosterone-filled guy.
Okay.
So I was kind of prepared for him to either push me or punch me.
Oh.
But he turned around and he reconsidered marrying his wife, and he was like, "Hey, man.
Hey.
You're where you got it like that?
Yeah.
You got them curves?
Have you seen me?
Show everybody else.
You got feminine curves?
Yeah, my butt.
Dude, the only cheeks I see on this bus are Will's. Him is so hard not to see.
They're not Will level.
Yeah, Will's got them fucking cheeks on him.
You're working hard now. Let's not say I haven't noticed. I've noticed you got a little bit of cheek back there.
That's crazy because I was absolutely casting a long ass web, big ass web, trying to get compliments from you.
I know what you sometimes
you go, you know.
Well, yeah, but you were looking for the compliment. I would rather do it in a setting like now.
Yeah.
And then you get a little bit more excited versus like, hey, what do you think about my ass? You're like, Taylor's like, hey, so what have you been thinking about my ass?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you got all them zins in your back pocket. You're going to have to move it. It's kind of taken out from that elevation on that bottom row. You know what I'm saying? That lift we all love to see.
Surgery, dude. It does it to you. The best compliment I've gotten was in South Carolina from Mitch. Unsolicited at the bar, just waiting to grab a drink. And Mitch came up behind me and was like, hey.
I'd give that thing a ride.
That ass looks good, brother. I thought, fuck yeah, dude. Thank you.
When you see, you gotta give
flowers.
compliment. Yeah,
that's right. The normalized dudes hyping dudes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
We're 44 minutes into this piece. Should we do a little shout out of the week?
I would love to. Do we have anything else to
Is there
touch
anything
on?
else we gotta touch?
Yeah, because we love to save shout out, no free shout out for just a little bit of fun, and then we kind of transition into the interview. Which a big interview, by the way.
Big interview. Supercross interview.
Titans.
Talk about Supercross.
Yeah, we can recap Supercross, dude. Mitch, I think you're the best person to start with this. Actually, I'll start.
Hang on, I'll preface to you starting it. The boys diving into the Supercross world. All Mitch, all Taylor. You guys love fucking Supercross. For me, when they're bringing up Supercross, I'm like, is it gonna? I mean, I haven't done anything with Supercross. Is it gonna hit?
Yeah.
I haven't done anything with Supercross since I used to play. What is it? ATV versus
MX versus ATV.
Hang on, one at a time, boys. Go ahead. Mitch.
MX versus ATV.
That game was fucking fire.
Unleashed.
But I have no clue about the Supercross world. But the boys were adamant about doing it, so I'm fired up that we are diving into that world of Supercross.
Me too. Yeah, so Will already said it. Big motocross fan, freestyle motocross fan. But
you nut over dirt bikes.
Yeah, dude. That was like the first love for me. Being like, I got my first dirt bike when I was 5 years old. My grandpa got it for me. Had the old training wheels on it and stuff like that. And I used to remember ripping around the neighborhood, dude. On that, the coolest kid on the block. Rip over, go to people's houses. People on bicycles. I was on that fucking motorcycle. Kept fucking gradually going up. Got into jumping a little bit. Was I good? No. But would I have a lot of fun doing it? Absolutely. Was a massive fan of Chad Reed and Ricky Carmichael in the Supercross landscape. But then obviously, Brian Deegan, Travis Pastrana, and those guys. And then the freestyle motocross world was my shit. Mitch brought this to us. I thought, hell yeah, this is going to be fucking awesome. And we all know Mitch, soft-spoken individual, doesn't like to really put out too much. But as we dove into this, after we did the interviews and all that, and we started doing the Supercross, like Mitch, his brother, and his dad came with. And these guys are like, oh, that's so-and-so. He's ranked number this. And he has this many points right now. They are fucking into it.
And it seems generational. Like his dad grew up doing dirt bikes. So like he knew the world. He knew the generation that were coaches in this dirt bike game.
Who was the guy we saw at Suzuki?
Larry Brooks.
Larry Brooks.
That was like my dad's like Chad Reed.
Yeah, that was like his fucking dude apparently.
Yeah.
Like you're Ryan Reynolds. Like it was like that for him.
You're Travis Pastrana.
Yes. And so we see him and I guess like you went up to him and told him.
Well, no, I think the guy was like, oh, this is Larry Brooks. And you're like, oh, okay. He used to ride back in the day. And I'm like, Dad, that's Larry Brooks. I don't know who it is. He's like,
he lit up like a damn
Larry
Christmas
Brooks.
tree.
He did, bro.
He was so fired up.
Dad too, that he was with
he almost didn't make it. Like he landed at 12. And because the interviews went long, he was able to come and meet us. So like,
you're welcome, Dad.
As we were walking in the door, he pulled up and ran up. So I'm happy he was able to make it.
Yeah, dude, he was a kid in a gangster. All of them, dude. We got to walk on the track, go through it. They're talking about how they go through, like when they do a track walk, they only get 8 minutes to warm up before racing. And they don't ride it before. So they're like literally trying to figure out, okay, I can double this, triple this. I have to bounce off this, all that different stuff, like working through the process. And those dudes' injuries are crazy. Like what's the buddy who had the arm?
Roczen.
Yeah.
That's the guy who's
coming on today. Roczen.
Interview.
He fucking
compound fracture. What is
his wrist and his elbow?
Yeah,
like a career ender, dude. Done. And this interview is incredible. He goes into like mindset and all that stuff. 2 completely different interviews we did. Completely different. One was like definitely revolved around like the mental game and getting your body right and all that. And the other one was like, I mean, our boy, track snacks, which we got to make a hat.
Yeah, the hat called Track Snacks. Absolutely.
That shit's hilarious, dude.
Moto hose, awesome. Dude. Moto hose.
What Mitch, what from all that shit, what was like your favorite part?
My favorite part was Saturday, being able to
fuck, I know, dude.
Like I was able to go on the track and like you could feel the engines. Like as the start was like about to happen, my heart rate started getting up. Like I was getting juiced up for it. And like seeing them on TV and seeing them in person, like on the track, they are so much faster than what you like ever believed. And then like I've always grown up going to like my dad and brother's races, and like they're amateurs. They're not like anything crazy, but you see like the pros doing it and like being on the floor with them, which is absolutely insane. So like I was telling G, like I enjoyed this more than like the football stuff we've done. Like when we went to, not saying I didn't like the football, but like this.
Right, you have a love for fucking Supercross.
Exactly.
Good,
so it was like,
Hopefully Supercross is hiring.
It was just really cool. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. You had a good time. I was so bummed I missed Saturday. Dude, I woke up in the middle of the night Friday. Massive fever. Dying, dude. And then the next day, that evening also, wind went down too. So I was heartbroken I couldn't make it.
Out of all the people I was around,
I don't know if it was you that got me sick.
I would love to. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, dude,
It
was a great time.
Jarwin Rue didn't catch anything.
That good for them.
None of the boys in the back.
No,
But
do you feel all right, Mitch? Yeah,
But I tell you what, you put a single germ around the Lewan, dude. That's fucking
mental warfare, dude.
Yeah,
Absolute
it spreads
war
like
going on.
wildfire.
I know, it's so weird. Like, what the fuck? I used to never get sick. You know what it is those damn 5-year-olds, Chris, you know. Dude, the 5-year-old kids,
Mm.
they just get sick all the time and they dust your family. I used to never get sick. Was probably not sick once in college. And I did everything I could to get sick,
Yeah.
but I never did.
Yeah.
Never did, dude. Anyway,
Where do we go from here?
shout out for shout out.
Yeah.
Did you guys ride on the track?
Too
No,
muddy.
it's too muddy. But we made Mitch do it. And they're like, he's gonna fall. He'll fall for sure. We're like, all right, get him out there. Mitch went down and back, no problem.
There's a little bit of a problem.
There's a couple hairy situations.
Yeah, but
But overall, the riders were like, you guys are gonna struggle. Like you guys are gonna fall down. Like the conditions right now are not good.
and I went out there. They were like, "We're impressed," and I'm like, saying I impressed pro motocross guys. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, we saw that smile.
Yeah, he was fired up, dude.
You were just making fun of my head not being able to find a helmet gonna fit or anything.
Yeah, he's really playing into that joke
Yeah.
quite a bit, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not to say I haven't joined in also, but like
I mean,
he's
it's
definitely
fine.
bearing that
I
thing
don't
with
really
the
care,
ground.
but-
You have to have gotten it from your mom because your dad really doesn't have that big of a head.
Yeah.
I think so, probably.
Yeah. Mom got that noggin, dude. No shots to your mom.
Crazy at
Love your mom.
moms.
Love your mom, dude. I know your whole family. They're a fan of the bus, so just a little busting balls, mom.
Yeah. But his brother had the same thing going on.
Yeah, brother had a fat head. Brother had a fat head too. Brother had a fat head too.
Dude, didn't say a whole lot too, really kept to himself. Did they enjoy themselves? What did
Yeah.
they think of the bus and everything?
They thought it was really cool.
All right,
Like,
cool.
They just can't believe this is where you work. Like just gritty back there on the little tables and everything.
Hell yeah, dude. What a fucked up
they enjoy it.
establishment we have here.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too that you like love Supercross. Like you love a sport that's not like the most recognizable sport.
Yeah,
out
it's like
there.
growing in popularity, but like you made a comment like you guys should do like an F1 thing. I think that would be huge. I know it's like not as big as F1 or anything, but
Could be.
they'd like
But F1, their popularity has grown like
Immensely.
fucking 10x from just that little docu-series they made on Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it now with golf. The QB or a quarterback is coming out where they're following around
yeah.
Mahomes, I think Marcus Mariota.
And one other.
Gino?
Nah, I think it was another solid dude.
He said, no, I think it was a
Was it Lamar?
Sarge, you know.
Gino's a beast.
Anyways, those ones
Kirk
all have like
Cousins.
massive like
You should have known
a lot
that.
of money in it.
I should have. Now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota. But they're doing all these little docu-series. I think it'd be sick if you're trying to grow the sport. I think that's a move on a sport that needs attention is get them docu-series to
Yeah, Supercross doesn't have as much money as all those sports, so I think that's probably where they are not able to do that and capitalize on it. But I think it would be sweet.
yeah.
That would be dope. Before we do tier talk or shout out, are we doing tier talk as well? I saw that on the docket.
We're gonna have to do it either.
We'll do it. We can do it Thursday.
We'll do it Thursday.
I'm gonna pee. Are you gonna read that ad? Is that what you're gonna?
Yeah, if you want me to, I can do whatever the fuck you want, buddy. Our show. I can literally sit here in silence for 10 minutes if I wanted to. How dope is it, huh? Boys, how do you guys feel about this whole experience? Yeah, you like it? How ridiculous is this? This is our job.
That's awesome.
Yeah, talk on the thing.
Oh, we're on? Oh, yeah, it's unreal. You see the pictures of the bus, but to put it in real life, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fucking
It's
awesome.
authentic as shit.
All this literally came with it too. All the stickers and all that, and the ones that are at the purple on it. That's all racist shit. That we had to take off. But anyway, what a good pivot into Duke Cannon, dude. Well, warmer weather is here and things are heating up for the boys. But guess what? We're not sweating it on the bus. Why? Because Duke Cannon has our backs, our pits covered. If you need to upgrade your grooming routine or restock your favorites, Duke Cannon has everything you need, from antiperspirants and deodorants to thick body wash and their big ass brick of soap. Me personally, I always go with that the antiperspirant deodorant. I don't know what the difference is. I really have no idea what the difference is, but I know you put it on your armpits. The Cool Dry, I was telling the Chris's before we got on the show, Them things, dude. You put that on during a hot summer day and you're feeling a little too warm, them thing cool your pits down like crazy. You can pick up these hardworking products at DukeCannon.com and use code BUSSIN. That's BUSSIN 10. So it's code BUSSIN 10 for 10% off your order. Duke Cannon, not for clowns, which we really need to rework. We've gone over clown salaries before. That shit's real. They make good money. They're a respected establishment, what they do around here. Buddy, quick pee. That's not like you.
Oh yeah, I mean I did set a record, but
Yeah, set a big time record.
big record. I think a minute 40 something.
That's pretty fucking awesome.
Across
Dude.
from Gate 48 at the LaGuardia Airport.
Yeah, he did.
Is
You all right?
Yeah. What was it? A minute 46?
minute 40.
Minute
Something like that. Minute 40 something.
Yeah, minute 40 something.
Yeah.
You know, it was a big time record.
Yeah.
And it was wild too going to New York because people were like the boys. It was like a whole bunch
When
of
we came
people
off
out
the
there,
gate,
dude.
it was nuts.
People are fucking with us big time, and that is a nice feeling. That is a nice feeling to know that this is really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really doing this.
Yeah, we're doing
6,000
something.
episodes in, we're fucking really we're getting after it, dude. Who would have thought? Chris, is there anything you guys want to talk about? Maybe college, maybe your guys' careers. Chris, if for those of you who don't know, Chris Brown and went to Michigan with me, lived really close to me at one point, and we used to play poop dollar all together, all the time. Words today. It's a toughie out here.
Yeah, we played too much poo dollar.
Yeah.
Like, way too much.
And it would always end the same way.
Same street. I mean, I don't know how these people didn't figure it out.
Yeah. You think after a while they'd get it.
I mean, the 10th time, it was like the same dollar. We just
Right.
kept reusing the same dollar.
And then all of a sudden, some homeless guy would come by and pick it up. I got a call from a couple of offensive linemen at Michigan. I wasn't going to say offensive linemen. Here we are. They called me when I was in Vegas, like, hey, how do you play poop dollar? Because they were going to play. And apparently they did. Had fun times getting after that thing.
The best one we ever did was at my bachelor party, though. That was all time.
Yeah, dude.
It was expensive, though. It was an
That was an
expensive
expensive
poo
poop
dollar.
dollar. And it ended pretty quickly, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of homeless in Austin.
A lot of homeless.
A lot of homeless out there.
We sat.
What did the guy?
Well, yeah.
The one guy got pissed. The one guy got pissed,
Yeah.
and he was with his girlfriend or somebody he's trying to impress, and we're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, yeah.
And
Just a
the,
couple of beers deep, dude, having a
Yeah.
good time. Watch people pick up shit.
the third guy just pocketed it and flicked us off, and we applauded him. We
Yeah.
all stood up and applauded him. That was
Dude, you do that now, you get
Yeah,
shot up
yeah.
in here in the States, brother. Shit a little wild out here.
Again, it was an expensive poo dollar. It was a poo $100. So
Yeah.
I think I would even pocket a poo $100.
Might as well,
Hundy?
you
I mean, it's
just
$100
wash your
bucks.
hands.
Two
You know
hundred,
what I
boys.
mean?
It's real. That's a real fucking
Yeah,
deal.
it was awesome.
Is there anything you want to get into before we hit this episode?
I don't think so. Buy our merchandise.
Please, God, do that. We had a nice little thing come out of me giving birth to Mitch and Will receiving a hat. Shout out Jack, dude. Let's give Jack a round of applause real quick.
Jack,
Very impressive. That beautiful brain. It's angry right now because the
Yeah.
Titans draft, but he's fucking. It is a beautiful
I
brain.
got a compliment at Eighth and Roast. No free shout outs to Eighth and Roast. And buddy was like, I just got done watching your guys' fucking merchandise video where you guys are giving birth to a baby. And he was like, that was creative. I was laughing my ass off right before I came in here. I was like, oh, that fires me up. Man.
Yeah. And you had literally that wasn't even your best idea that you have in the roster.
Yes, tune in. We've got a couple.
Yeah, dude, we got some good ones coming up.
They're gonna break the mold for advertising.
Yeah, we're doing it. I mean, if
That's Jack's
me
goal.
giving birth to Mitch pulling that head out of my uterus and Will being careless with his nut and receiving that dad hat doesn't sell, I mean, what are we doing, boys?
We're trying. And Jack's like, yeah, we've got to be the best at Barstool for doing these fucking weekly merch.
Don't say it too loud. Don't say it. We don't want people to.
No, we're competing. We're out there competing.
We're
It's
out
a
there
healthy
competing.
competition.
Like competitions are way easier when people don't know they're competing.
That's true. I just want to put it out there that we're aware and we are coming.
We're here.
And it's Louis.
I think we might be number one, and it's Louis. Dude, I don't know if we should even talk about Dion, but all those dudes transferring away, coming back, all that shit.
He's open about it. He's like, you buy a new house, you want to decorate it with new furniture. You got to get the old furniture out.
Bro, he talked crazy about those damn kids.
yeah.
But hey, do what you gotta do, brother.
Yeah, like he's trying to build a program. He's trying to build culture. Weed out the guys who are, who don't want to be there.
What do you think? How do you think they're gonna do?
I think they'll do so. I think they're going to surprise people.
You really
That's
think
what
so?
I think. I think they're going to surprise people. I think until Dion has a actual down year, an unsuccessful year, I think right so far he's proved every spot. He's proved each year that he can do this thing.
Shout out Dion, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't wait for him to someday come on our show.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
how do you feel about it?
the first year is always so tough. You see if all those new guys coming in, old guys leaving, how does the locker room really feel? So you kind of wonder like how everything's gelling. Because I wonder if there's like kind of like a how I don't know how the guys that are coming in feel, knowing that the way Deion's talked about them being Louis and all that, and then the old guys, if they kind of feel some type of way that these new guys, and that could cause a divide in the locker room. There's a lot of dudes. College football is like 120 people.
Right.
So there's a lot of different personalities to kind of come together. I wonder how that camp's going to look. Camp's when we're really going to figure it out.
Yeah.
If you've got a squad or not.
I feel like he does nothing but drop gems, and like the way he speaks, like sometimes like I can see how people see that it's arrogant and pompous, but I feel like he's always came onto the scene, and it's always made some people a little uncomfortable, whether it's coming in to play football, whether it's playing baseball and football at the same time and hitting a home run and then going and playing a game the next day, like getting into the coaching scene, even in media, going to Barstool Sports, Jackson State, all the stuff he's saying, and then jumping to Colorado. Every move he's made, he's been successful. And I feel like he's always got a lot of like philosophy that he shares along the way on why he does what he does. And people are just going to have to wait and see it for it to be true. And I think it's going to be maybe something similar. I don't know if they're going to be as successful as he was at Jackson State right out of the gate, because you're now playing Division I football and the competition's higher.
Yeah.
And you're starting at a place like Colorado, like no disrespect, but there's a reason like 30 something guys are shuffling out of there. Like they're a shitty fucking team.
Shitty team.
And, but I'm excited to see how it goes, man. Cause I think it'll be cool. Like if he like just kind of climbs the ranks and does it his way, like he has in every situation in his career.
You saw their spring game, right? The attendance?
Yeah.
Wild.
Insane.
So you got to how's it make you feel? Nebraska plays them the first game of the year, right?
Second game.
It's
going to be mostly red.
You think so?
I think
Still,
it's going to be a fuckload of red, man. I think that fan base, I think Colorado is already seeing them being like, oh, this is our best hire we've had in maybe ever. I don't want to disrespect any coach out there that's been there, been successful, but yeah, I mean, turning it around and people are showing up like that and people seem to fuck with Deion. Like, I think he's going to win a lot of football games there. It won't be against Nebraska, but I think he's going to win a lot of football games.
Do you think they'll be 1-1 after week 2?
Yeah. I don't know who do they play first. They could be 0-2. TCU, they're going to be 0-2. They're going to start out 0-2. But I'm fucking pulling for Deion. Like I am pulling for Deion. TCU, loss.
They're going 1-3.
Nebraska, loss.
Colorado, dub.
Colorado State, dub. Oregon,
Loss.
1-3. USC,
Loss. 1-4. Colorado,
Arizona State. Now that's going to be a good game.
That's going to be a good game.
Good game.
Ooh,
Loss.
that's 1-5.
1-5 going against Stanford. I think you beat Stanford.
Okay.
I think you surprise UCLA. I think this is where they start coming around. This is where they start coming around when it's a game.
3-5. Oregon State.
Oregon State. Tough, but I'll say dub.
Okay, 4-5. Arizona.
5-5.
Okay. Washington State.
At Washington State, I think they drop a game there.
Okay, 5-6.
5-6.
Utah, loss. 5-7.
Yeah.
If you're Colorado listening to this right now, Will's prediction, you should be hype. You guys are probably going to go undefeated based off what he did to Kansas City last year.
Yeah, Will single-handedly got Kansas City a Super Bowl.
Right.
Now, hang on a second. How do you personally feel, JP, hearing me talk about it? Like, are you part of the fan base? Like, you're like, oh, damn, Colorado's going to win a lot? Or are you like, oh, my man, he's probably on to something?
I think Colorado is going to go to a bowl game, but I think
that's one more game. I think that's one of the things. If they're 6-6, they're going bowling.
Yeah, I feel like the way you were just speaking about Deion, I felt it was more like he's going to come in and succeed just how he succeeded and everything else.
Yeah. But again, that can be losing close games.
What was their record last year? It was abysmal, right?
Yeah, they won like 1 or 2 games.
So if you win 5 games, that's a success.
I think they're going to beat TCU.
What?
I think TCU is going to fall off.
I hope so. They deserve it after what they did to us in the playoffs.
I hope they beat TCU because that's going to make our win look better. Week 2.
Bro.
I'll say this. I'll agree with you. I'll say a 6-win season. They'll go to a bowl game, and the majority of their losses, I think, will be close games. Where it's like, yeah, okay, we went 6-6, or maybe had a losing season. But if you look at the losses, like they're fucking trending in the right direction. I was saying all that stuff without seeing the schedule, and they seem to have a tough
they got a hefty one, dude. TCU, though, dropping off makes us feel a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Because if we're not being biased at all. I mean, they could easily be 2-0. Right? Just based off how Nebraska's been, brother.
I love how you're like.
I'm just letting you know.
I love how you're kind of stepping
Colorado
around.
State, now you could be 3-0. Oregon,
Like you just said the most disrespectful. I think,
Oh, I know how you are about Nebraska, brother. And it's like, I want to be there to support you, but sometimes we got to look through a clear lens.
But you also need to understand that I know that this is the hill like I'll stand on.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Not in a way of like what you're saying
But
has
knowing
no
that you'll die on that
rationale.
hill, it's like, I don't want to just catch bullets from you for no reason. So I'm like, hey, let him live. Let Nebraska live, brother. You said what, dude? All of a sudden, I'm getting wrestled again.
Could be 2-0, right?
The fucking hand thing. Hey,
yeah,
listen.
like-
Anyway, that's our episode, dude. I'm suing a guy.
No, for shout out.
Yeah, shout out, no free shout. Wait, I thought we were waiting for Thursday for shout out, no free shout
I
out.
thought tier talk.
Yeah, it's tier talk.
Oh fuck, we haven't even done that yet. Boys, you guys want to do shout out, no free shout out?
You guys know the premise of it, yeah? I love that.
I don't know if he does, but I know.
Do you, Chris?
Well, we'll have JP go first, and then
JP
we'll
start it off.
out, dude. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shout Out, No Free Shout Out, one of our favorite segments of the week. I feel like we have 14 at this point, but starting is going to be JP Hubby.
My shout out, no free shout out goes to one of my favorite inventions of all time, and that is blackout curtains. And just we were at the hotel this weekend, and just not knowing what time it is in the morning is one of the best feelings ever. And I hope to own blackout curtains in my house one day. So that's my shout out, no free shout out.
It's a good one. JP, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
They're great.
I know.
They are great.
They are incredible. They are a game changer.
You had the blackout boys?
Yeah.
All right, Jackie, what you got, brother?
My shout out, no shout out goes to a few individuals on the bus, but more of a collective. Will, Taylor, JP, personal text from Garrett, Mitch, didn't hear anything from you.
Oh no!
But I hit 10K on Twitter, and I'd love to shout out the community that's ridden with me so far. Where it's yeah.
Give it to him, boys. Give it to him.
You know, you can look on these accomplishments and be proud, but then you got to just turn the other direction and head for 100K. So we're nearing in on it. I believe I'm at 10.4, so only like 99,600 followers left. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find it somewhere.
90,600 followers.
90,000. Yeah. Oh yeah. Damn, if
It's
Taylor
all good,
corrects
brother.
me.
Big Brain Podcast.
But yeah, appreciate all the support. All my boys out there on the bird.
Dude,
Go ahead, drop your ad.
_ Jack McPherson. Jack, not a burner. You'll find it out there somewhere. If not, who gives a fuck?
you'll find me someday. Dude, that big jump. You what, like 500 yesterday, right?
Yeah, because of you, you were like, hey, everyone follow him. Let's get him to 11K.
My
buddy.
fucking boy, dude.
You are
My
my
fucking
boy.
boy. My little brother.
It is, yeah. There's no doubt.
Dude, we were literally at Barstool the other day. I'm not going to say a lot of things. Actually, you know what? I won't say it. Who's up next? We going Mitchie or we going
You
Chrissy?
want Mitch or Chris?
Let's go Mitch. Let's go Mitch. We'll hit the boys go, and then we'll go last.
My shout out, no free shout out this week goes to Supercross. The guys that we were with, shout out Sean Brennan. He was the PR guy. He basically allowed us to do whatever the hell we wanted. It was super cool. I mean, he was going to get you two on bikes. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't permitting, but he like would just walk around with me. Hey, you want to go over here and like, get this shot and do this? Like he was helping me out with everything. And then also Jackson Kennard, he was the one who DM'd me and was like, hey, they're coming to Nashville. Like, let's try and do something. So he's the one got me in contact with Sean, made everything happen. So shout out those two and just shout out the sport of Supercross.
Dude, hell yeah. Did you meet Brian Deegan?
I didn't, but he was like, I was talking to Sean. I was like, hey, if Taylor's here tomorrow, he's going to kind of want to meet Brian Deegan. He's like, all right, we'll make that happen.
Fuck.
You could ask like to meet anybody. And this dude was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
We'll make that
And
happen.
who was the guy that was a fan of the podcast?
Christian Craig.
Dude, some dude who
Yeah,
had an elbow
no doubt,
brace.
No
in.
doubt. That fucking fired us up too.
Yeah. Dude, you don't know who Brian Deegan is, Garrett? Brian Deegan, first guy to ever land a 360.
Metal
In the
Militia.
2003 X Games. Dude, does a 360, the bike lands on like a side dirt pit, and he just sticks it right there. Counts it. It's fire. He was part of Meta Militia.
Mm.
Come on. You gotta know that shit, bro.
You ever seen Nitro Circus?
Dude, hey, I just circus rips too.
My shout out, no, for shout out is going to go to something I feel like we haven't experienced in Nashville in a while, but it feels like we're actually experiencing a spring right now.
We're a
little
weekend, brother.
crisp in the morning, cold at night. Can't beat it. Shout out to the weather.
I will tip my cap to that because I do believe there's only 6 weeks a year you get out of it. 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring. Right now, we're about 10 days into it, and it's been immaculate. It's
I
been
think
amazing.
we're literally on week 3 right
Probably
now.
just jinxed it though.
Maybe.
We're on week 3 right now.
Maybe. No.
Because you were gone.
I was gone for a week, so
Right when you left, is
technically,
when it
yeah,
started to pick
we're
up.
on week 3. You're right. So 3 weeks. That's how it's been for the decade I've been here.
Enjoy
So-
this last week.
Yeah. So hopefully, we'll see what the weather is actually this coming week.
The week before last week, man, it was rocking. Talking 70s.
Starting Friday, it rains 5 out of 6 days, and it gets into the 80s
On Friday.
on Friday.
Rain?
Starting Friday. So 3 weeks, boys.
We're gonna hope those are the afternoon showers.
Let's hope.
Yeah, they will be.
They will be. They will be. All right. Now that we're done making fun of my voice or whatever, why do you guys keep repeating that shit?
Because you
No.
usually started doing it.
Maybe.
I know it is and I don't know how I don't know if I want to take the hater route on it because sometimes it hits my eardrums a little like, why do you do that? No.
I kind of
Like saying, no, you back.
I think I did it as a joke at first, and now it's kind of like a thing that just kind of has happened to me. Kind of like Brian Kelly doing his Southern accent at LSU. Yeah. Yeah. Good. All right. Chrissy, give us your shout out, no free shout out.
All right, my shout out, no free shout out, is to the people who dominate the middle seat on an airplane, both armrests and with the knee in the front when someone tries to recline. That is an absolute no. So you get that knee in there and they're just not moving, right?
Yeah.
And then you dominate the middle seat with the arms. That's just, you have to. If you're going to be stuck in that middle seat, you got to assert dominance.
That is an impressive shout out, no free shout out for your first one. That's very good.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was good.
You've done a good job.
That was solid.
Chris, too.
Yeah, my shout out, no free shout out is Uber drivers that give a fuck.
Okay.
We landed and we got a guy. I think we might have gotten in the wrong car. It was like we got a 6-seater, but he had all the shit in the back still.
Yeah.
We had to get 2 Ubers and it just reeked. But the last 2 Ubers we've had have been phenomenal. And so, yeah, like good smell, clean car. Makes all the difference in the
So
world.
they give a fuck about
They give
the
a
way
fuck
they're-
about the
They're
experience.
professional,
yeah.
man. They're professional.
Yeah,
It's
well,
the little
some,
stuff
yeah.
in life.
And delivering a service, they care.
Yeah, it makes you feel
Strong
good.
shout outs by the Chris boys.
Yeah.
Strong
Good
shout outs
job,
by the
boys.
Chris boys.
Great work. Great work. All right, Willie, what you got for us?
My shout out, no free shout out, goes to daddy daughter days. My wife was out of town over the weekend. She was in Chicago. So it was myself and Rue all weekend. And there's just nothing better than like growing that relationship with your daughter to where they're like, fuck with you, to where you're like their friend at the end of the weekend. Even when mom's home, like this morning, we went to the coffee shop and everything else. And she'd just be like, Dad. And then, like, want to come over and like lean on me and stuff. And I was like, yo, I fucking fuck with
That's
Rue,
awesome.
bro. But yeah, my shout out, no free shout out goes to daddy daughter days or weekends.
Sometimes the
Daddy-daughter
moms get
weekends.
selfish.
They do.
Yeah, they take away.
do. I think Charles was fired up for me because she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm man, she really
was like
fucks
fired up for you. It was like, hey, good for you.
with- Now she's like, babe, look. She's saying you should look. She's like reaching across and she'll be like whispering. She'll be like, Dad.
Hell yeah.
And it just fires me up. You just go and grab her little cheeks. But yeah, that's my shout out, man. Daddy daughter weekends.
Hell yeah, dude. That's all time. That's a good one. My shout out, no free shout out, is going to go to when you go to a restaurant and it's not a nice restaurant, but the condiments on the table include more than just ketchup and mustard. You got fucking ranch on there, maybe some barbecue sauce as well.
Who got ranch? Who's got ranch in
Brother,
there?
we went to that burger spot like 3 weeks ago.
Fuck.
What's up?
I said keep that in the fridge, at least ranch. Barbecue, I feel like would be out there.
Brother, they put them little things out in the bottles. You fucking put that thing down there. You don't got to ask for the ranch and the barbecue sauce, especially when you go to a place like Zips. You say, hey, can we get some extra ranch? And they say, how many ranches do you want? You literally have to look at them in the eyes and say 5. Like, it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Damn.
Dude, that shit hits.
Shout out to
But Will and I, I had to be like 3 months ago now, went to that burger spot that everyone was saying was amazing. We pulled in, there were a bunch of Titan fans in there, and they gave us our meal for free. But you had all the condiments and the ranch and everything kind of waiting for us.
Gabby's.
So it was solid, dude. So my shout out, no free shout out, goes to a diverse.
You guys telling
condiment
secrets
group.
back there? What we got going on?
Dude, they've been doing that all
guys just
podcast.
playing grab ass?
Jack and JP, we're gonna have to separate them in the next
Yeah.
class.
I do have to throw in another
JP, you got
Shout out.
something?
I mean, it's just like a when Taylor was looking over at you, the microphone is just at his eye. And so that's all we said.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Normalized dudes hyping dudes.
I got to throw in one more little shout out. Jack and I went to the Sounds game. So shout out to Nick who got us our tickets for free.
Dude, literally, our boy was buying his tickets to go meet us around the corner. And then a guy comes by and goes, dude, tickets are free. We love the pod. And we're like,
No shit.
you know, all of a sudden our friends that came with us were like, hey, y'all follow us. Like,
Yeah, let's
it was
fucking
a
go.
big moment for me and Garrett.
Hell yeah.
Let's fucking
That's
go,
awesome. He's
dude.
probably one of those 10K guys.
It's Nicholas House.
I think it's Nick
Us?
Cage.
No, it's not.
Cage, dude.
But yeah, shout out to Nicholas with the sounds, dude, all the time.
Fuck yeah, dude. We got to get out to a Sounds game as a group.
We
Go
went
out-
and played
go out in the
putt-putt.
right
That would be
field.
fun.
Dude, it's so much fun out there. The Sounds really do it the right way.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Well, boys, with that being said, please enjoy this episode of Bussin' with the Boys. And like we talked about before, buy the fucking merch, dude. We need this.
Can we introduce the boy a little bit? Can we pull up Mitch? Go ahead, grab the microphone, introduce the boy we're about to get because you obviously, you stay rocked up over the boys at Supercross.
And our interview today is Ken Roczen. He is number 94 Supercross, rides for Suzuki. He talks about like his mindset, super big into like how he prepares for the races and everything. He talks about what Taylor touched on before.
Very focused individual.
Yeah,
Very
for
focused.
sure. And then he talks about like his almost career-ending injury and how what the battle was like coming back from that. Super serious guy. Have a couple laughs, but for the pod.
Yeah, it's overall a very informative pod. We talk a lot about mindset and recovery stuff. He also grew up in Germany. He was about 14 or 15 years old and went down to Florida. And his process, how he trains, where he trains, and just like incrementally, like he teaches us a lot about the process of becoming a young little dirt bike rider to a professional at the 1% of the 1% of running dirt bikes. So it's a very cool, informative podcast. I hope everybody enjoys. As always, big hugs and tiny.
And before we go, tomorrow we're dropping a bonus episode with Aaron Plessinger. Aaron Plessinger. So look
totally
out
different
for that.
vibe on that podcast.
Yeah, he was a
Smiles
lot
and
of
giggles the
Fun.
whole
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
His
he's a
wife
good
comes
vibe.
on.
He's a good vibe.
Yeah, he's a real good vibe.
But that'll be dropping tomorrow, and that's just on the free. That's just on the free, boys.
Yeah.
And then we'll do we're back to regular programming twice a week for this month. The month of May, then these next 4 weeks, this is week 1. For 4 weeks, we're doing twice a week. So Taylor and I'll be back on the mic, and it'll just be the boys on Thursdays. So without further ado, subscribe, leave comments.
Rate 5 stars.
Let's fucking go.
Big hugs, tiny kisses. Good work, boys. How long was that pod?
Hour and 17 minutes.
So that's a 2-hour pod then with a.
We, as in I, interrupt this episode to bring you the world's most comfortable boot. And that boot is Georgia boot. You guys wish you had this on your feet. And let me tell you why. You want it on your feet because it is designed for the longest shift, the toughest job. The core of Georgia's messaging relies on delivering boots that are as comfortable as they are tough. Boots that you can wear from work to your favorite bar, whether you're working on the front line, fixing that shelf in your closet, or grilling out back. These Georgias are the best boot for the job. Georgia boots are designed with comfort in mind, featuring cushioned insoles and supportive technology for all-day comfort. They're engineered to provide protection from harsh outdoor conditions, environments, and ensuring safety and comfort of the wearer. Georgia boots are available in a range of styles and designs catering to the preferences and needs of a diverse customer base. Listen, I never owned a pair of Georgia boots until probably last week, and I would show you my feet right now, but I'm wearing some Georgia boots that are unreleased, so you got to take these ones in. I wear the Georgia boots to sleep. I wear them on dates. I wear them to the pool. I go swimming in my Georgia boots most times, and they still hold up perfectly. And guess what? If you use code BUSSIN for 20% off at georgiaboots.com, then you get 20% off boots at georgiaboot.com. That's code BUSSIN, BUSSIN, for 20% off at georgiaboots.com. Back to the episode.
We're rolling right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Bussin with the Boys. My name is Taylor Lewan. My guest today is the electric Ken Roczen. Did I say that right, Ken Roczen?
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, so my 13-year-old self will be nutting his pants right now because growing up, when I was 5 years old, my grandpa got me a little PW50.
Mhm.
And I was obsessed with dirt bikes from the get-go. And we were kind of talking about it before, but I always like to wait till we're on the mics because if I start retelling the same story, it doesn't have the same feel, the
Right.
same pizzazz to
Right.
me. And so, you know, I'm 5 years old. I get a dirt bike. I start falling into the Travis Pastranas, the Brian Degans. The first 360 happens. Then I go to like Supercross in Arizona, and I'm watching Chad Reed and Ricky Carmichael. Like, so it's an absolute honor to have you on this show. When the boys over here, we got on the Zoom, they were telling me you're a fan favorite. You get after it. You're a fun personality. So I'm electrostatic to have you on here today. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I appreciate it. And, you know, as you know, it's so easy to fall in love with the sport, right? Or anything with wheels. At least that's what it is for me. I mean, actually, I had the luxury of growing up with a track right on my property. So it was, you know, my dad had a team, and they did it all just for fun, right? But I had the luxury of going out my back door, jumping on a bike and going. And I think, you know, I went through an entire freaking canister of gas when I was at a young age, not because my dad wanted me to, but I just had the freedom to do whatever. And especially as a kid, like you can kind of just do whatever you want out on the property. Like that's pretty badass.
What? So basically, you were born into the sport. Like you woke up out of your mom's womb, boom, you're there, and your dad's like, I already got a track ready to go. Like, when did you realize, like, hey, I'm all about wheels. I'm all about racing.
Yeah, so most people actually don't know, as I don't really have an accent, but I'm German, like full German, was born in Germany and lived so I moved to the US when I was like 16, 17 was my first year, and I've been here ever since. Now, that was I pretty much had my entire adult life in the US. Like I bought my first house. Granted, I lived in my own house because on the property we had another building, so I kind of had the luxury
You had a little compound at the house, huh?
Yeah. So it was a full compound. My parents had a house. I had my house, and we had the track in the backyard in Germany on a property. But I had my first my driver's license here because in Germany you had to be 18 to have a driver's license. So my entire adult life of buying houses and kind of kickstarting that it has been in the U.S. So I feel very Americanized, you know?
Yeah.
I really have to say that. And I even struggle with speaking German sometimes, you know, when I'm not around it the whole time. My parents have been over a lot more often lately, so then it comes easier. But for a while, I wasn't, because we're wide open January through, now it'd be September, you know? So we're wide open. I don't really have much time to, get back home and kind of hang out there. So for a while, I didn't go back, and everything felt super foreign, and which is weird to think about when you've lived where you were born for 16, 17 years, and then down the road you come back and that feels foreign to you. Is a wild feeling. When
you grew up in Germany and now you're in the United States, like what was going to the United States? What was like the biggest culture shock for you, seeing the difference between Europe and then obviously the United States?
Well, so the good thing was that at an early age, so I raced my first race when I was 3, which is everything for me happened super early. Like most riders start 4, 5, 6, right around there. But everything was super early for me. So I started traveling all throughout Europe at an early age as well. I started riding German championship and then European championship, at a really early age. So I was kind of used to going different countries, because I guess it'd be like going from California to Nevada. I was going from Germany to France,
Yeah.
And it's a total different culture. So I was used to that. Having said that, coming over for the first time ever was 2005, actually. That's when my parents and Suzuki back then surprised me, actually. We showed up at this property, and I'm getting dressed and everything, and I'm starting riding. There's supercross tracks, outdoor tracks, like multiple tracks on a property. And so that was, first time in the US, it was all new to me. Like the big tracks, big compounds and everything wasn't normal. So I'm riding, and I come back, and I see somebody with a number 4 ripping on a supercross track, and it was Ricky.
No shit.
I had no idea. My parents surprised me. And that was my first encounter with Ricky. And then sure enough, down the road, let's say, 10 years later, I started racing for his team.
Yeah.
And just wild to think about, right? So anyways, when I first came over to the US, I just think we were a little bit thrown in the deep end. I didn't have much supercross experience, right? So we came over here, started racing for Roger DeCoster, which is like the ultimate top level thing that you can do, right? And I had that in with KTM, and the big switch was going on. But overall, like I was new to supercross, the bikes, the suspension setups, and I went from living on a property to do whatever I want to do to living into an apartment, and then trying to, grocery shopping. Like it's just things you don't realize until you're actually thrown in the deep end. And but so cool to look back. I tell people to go out the country and get different cultures all the time. At least that's one of my favorite things to do is travel to all different types of places. So
when you're able to go back to Germany, like, does it feel more foreign to you being back in Germany now that you've been in the United States for so long?
At this point, it hasn't been too bad because within the last couple of years, I went back a few times, only just for a few days at a time, but at least I was there more frequently. And that made it feel a lot more like, hey, it starts feeling a lot more familiar again. And I wouldn't say that when I go there that's home in a sense, because of friends and I like food and I love German food and everything. But overall, I'm just never there. So when I do go there, I feel more at home in the U.S. I have to say.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild, and I've only been here for about 10 years, so I don't know if you would consider that a long time or not. But
a decade, dude. You take a decade in, you're cemented.
Right? Yeah,
have to leave.
You've completely switched. I mean, I feel like I'm a complete different person in a sense. I want to believe that I'm a better person, but complete different person than when I lived in Germany. Granted, I was young, but
and you stay out in Florida now. Is that where you're gonna have home base when it's all said and done?
Correct. Yeah, I used to split my time. Florida is my home base, like my main spot, but I lived in San Clemente before, which is between LA and San Diego.
Yeah, big fan of San
So
Clemente.
that's where I first actually went, was from Germany. I went straight to California, and that's where I based myself out of, and then transitioned over to Florida. But I've always had, my teams have always been in Southern California, so I've always felt the need to have a place instead of renting all the time. It's always a mini move, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So, but we did end up selling last year throughout summer, just because you know how the market was, like make some good money with it. It wasn't planned at all. So for right now, I have no house in California. We're kind of everything has changed within the last few months in a good way, like in a super cool way. I think it was needed for me personally, and so life's been good though.
That's awesome, and I'm happy for you. Going back to when you started racing when you were 3 years old, at what point in your life did you realize, like, oh shit, I can actually do this and be competitive and be a champion doing this?
Yeah, so I would say it probably started very early. I mean, the fact that I started riding and racing so early, I just had, crazy good throttle control, and I could ride a dirt bike before I was able to ride it.
But like, you got to break it down because throttle control.
So, like any kid, I mean, I even say I have a son that's 2 years and 7 months. And, when they first jump on it, all they want to do is hold it wide open, and I, for whatever reason at that age, hold the throttle wide open and then whiskey throttle, and they don't know how to brake, right? And then they just go way
doing
too
the things,
fast.
their legs are falling off the back and they're kind of
Basically.
getting drug ass around until they fall down.
And actually for me, I was just I had really good throttle control and I just knew how to ride a motorcycle. So then a little bit later on, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I was just racing a lot of local stuff, a little bit in Belgium and in the Netherlands because it was close by.
Like 10, 11 years old.
No, that was earlier than that. So then when 8, 9, 10 is when I started racing German Championship. And with that came some of the European Championships, because the German Championship was actually an international championship. So it wasn't just Germans riding there. We had people come that I actually would, in the World Championship, would actually still race today. Like we have this group of people that I've raced against since I was super little that are still racing at this point, which is so rad to see because it's so long ago when we were little kids, and now I'm almost 30. I'm turning 29 tomorrow, and I'm technically still racing some of those guys from back then. It's pretty cool to see.
You getting to race on your birthday sounds like an awesome deal. You said you turned 29?
Yeah, first time ever. So my birthday used to be on when we raced in Vegas back in the day, but it was never on actual Saturday when we were racing. So this time, is it called Stone or Golden Birthday or something like that?
Oh yeah, your golden birthday. Yeah,
my 29th birthday on the 29th, and I'm racing. So
yeah,
it's
an automatic dub.
Huh?
Automatic dub.
Automatic, yeah. I mean, I would hope so. That would be badass. But just being in Nashville too, right? We don't come here that often, and my wife loves the city, and I do too. We've had some good times here, and it's a different vibe. I mean, it's like a little New York in a way. It's just special.
Yeah,
So it makes
it's a uniquely growing city, dude. Like I've been here for almost 10 years now, and just watching the landscape with the skyscrapers and everything have changed so much. There's over like 1 million people here now, but before that, it was like in the 500,000s. It just doubled.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, it's wild.
I mean, and you see it happening in a lot of areas. I mean, even where I'm from in like near Orlando area, we're on a little outskirt that used to be. That's why I essentially moved to Florida, because everything was calmer. There wasn't as much traffic as in California. I didn't have to drive as far, but taxes, yeah. And within the last few years, it has exploded. Like, it doesn't matter where we go. The area that used to be super calm and and relax, they all start getting super busy, and it just changed a little bit. But at the same time, it's also good for businesses, like all the city to grow and more people, and so I'm fine with it. But it's at the same time, it's a little sad just because it's not as mellow anymore.
Yeah, what drew you to Florida? Just going from one coast to the other, wanted to be near the water, or did you ever consider a place like Nevada or a Texas or an Arizona? Other, I would assume big dirt biking areas.
Yeah, not really, just because Southern California, and when I say that is Corona and Temecula, so it's a little bit more inland from the beach. That's where all the test tracks used to be from all the teams. Honda, Suzuki, Cowie, like they all have their test tracks there, and all the teams are based down there, so it makes sense. But when you go to like Nevada or any of those areas, there isn't really anybody with tracks. Like I don't really think you have a whole lot of public tracks, and it just makes it a lot more difficult because the teams aren't there. There's hardly any tracks. You would have to have your own property. But for me, in Florida, there's so many private facilities, and I personally ride at the Sandbox, which I have for the last, I don't know how many years.
What's a Sandbox?
So the Sandbox it's just the name of the facility that I'm racing at. We have Supercross tracks there, turn tracks, just in case it rains, so we always have a track rideable. And you basically just pay a yearly fee, and you're able to, so it's not a public track. You can't just, some guy can't just go there and pay and come and ride. So it's a private facility, and we have a bunch of those throughout Florida. So that's why it made sense to go to Florida, switch coasts, and you don't drive as far. I have 25 minutes to the track. It's always the same. And so anywhere in between, I mean, of course, you have people living around. That's where they grew up, and they have their own track. But in general, for me, it was always California or Florida, just because when it came to the riding side of things, it made the most sense.
Take me through like how you train and get prepared to race in Supercross. I know it takes a lot of endurance.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you do outside of just riding? Do you lift? Do you sprint? Do you, take supplements? Like what's your regimen look like?
So being a motocross, Supercross racer, you kind of have to be an all-arounder. I think people, their ego is super high and don't know much about the sport. We have the stigma of like, oh, you just ride the bike. You know,
get on a bike and ride.
It couldn't be more further away from the truth. I do a lot of cardio training. I do a lot of strength training. Just because our sport is so, let's call it violent in a way, right? Like we're high heart rates, throwing bikes from left to right with track conditions changing pretty much every lap, and then you're battling 22 other guys. So there's a lot of excitement going on, and I think from a fan perspective, especially, I think that's why everybody falls in love with it, because there's so much going on at all times, right? And so, on the training side of things, we do a lot of cardio. It's an everyday. I personally say I work 24/7, 365, and I've always been the kind of guy, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, that is never taken away from what the task at hand, which is I've trained and done all this stuff for so long. Like it's almost like a religion to me in a way, right? I feel like a fish out of water if I
get into a routine and you kind of just don't want to break that routine.
And honestly, my body feels like shit if I don't work out.
Yes.
So I have fun with it, especially in my later stages of my career right now. I have embraced the whole thing a lot more. I do my own training schedule, and I guess I'm just a lot more into it instead of back in the day. I was always eager to do everything 110%, but at the same time, you were always relying on somebody to tell you what to do. So I have taken it up on myself because I started traveling all over the country throughout the off season, racing in Australia, and I raced in France, and I went to Barcelona and all of that. And the training side of things, I was the best judge of myself, because you know how it is when you fly to Australia. It's a long ass flight, jet lag and everything. So I was the best judge of what I'm able to do. And with that, I love doing intervals and like just kind of push my body and be in the pain cave a little bit. You know, I kind of live for that. So I was starting to mess around with all
that
of
discomfort.
Exactly. Like you need to start to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's pretty much an all day, every day.
Andrew Huberman. You sound like you dialed in, huh?
Totally. And so we pretty much do it all. And not to mention the riding. The thing is the weather too, right? Like in Florida, we live during the heat. I mean, summertime is absolutely miserable. So it is very easy to do too much and not be recovered for the weekend, because you know how it is when you work out and it's hot out, it is 3 times as hard than when it's cool out, you know? So those are all things to take into consideration and find what's the best formula for you.
When you're growing up and you're realizing your passion for racing, you're ripping around, having a good time, was there a transition period for you to find this love for discomfort where you're like, oh, I actually have to lift and I have to run, and I have to make sure I stay on top of my body to make sure that I can do it? Because you remember being a kid, I don't know how it is for dirt bike riders or motocross riders, but playing sports, when you're a kid, you don't even need to warm up. You just go out there
Yeah.
and do whatever. And then eventually you get to an age where it's like, shit, I got to stretch a little bit. Then you realize I got to get the cold tub a little bit. And so what was that like? Was that a tough process for you to learn, or was the eagerness always just there for you?
I wouldn't say it was tough because I grew up with a lot of discipline naturally, but also my dad was quite old school and
Yeah, the Germans seem very disciplined.
yeah, exactly. And not in a bad way, but just like when I was a kid, I was born into it and I wanted it to be. I just think I had a couple of friends around too that we would always train together. And me and him, we went on I remember it to this day because we always make fun of it. We went on a 2-hour run in the pouring rain. Like, we put trash bags over ourselves and started running. But those are memories. Like, was it miserable? Absolutely. But did we have fun? For sure. And did it teach us to like not be soft? Absolutely. Because I feel like nowadays people are way too soft, way too comfortable, right? And I just grew up with no matter what the weather is, there is really no bad weather, but you can dress right for it. And so no matter if it was freezing cold with a lot of ice, I was always running. And so I'm very appreciative of how I came up and the discipline. So I've always had that in me. Nobody really had to ever push me because I was slacking off. I was always, if anything, too eager and put in a lot of enthusiasm. So yeah, I still to this day, I love it. And a lot of, I don't think a whole lot of people have discipline. And it doesn't have to be with training or anything.
Right.
It could be your diet or whatever it may be, going to your job and maybe slacking. I don't know, but I just think it's really fun messing with this kind of stuff and being uncomfortable. I just feel like it makes me grow. It makes me be happy.
Yeah.
Too, same with cold plunges. I'm sure you've done cold plunges. People
Yeah,
hate cold plunges.
I do it
and
every
so
single
do
day
I.
for 3 minutes in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So I have one as well. And as miserable as it is, but I just feel like after you've kind of had that suffering a little bit, it just, there's something inside of us humans, I feel like, that makes us feel like we've really accomplished something, and it makes me feel good. So I love that type of stuff.
There's a general that did a commencement speech at the University of Texas, and he talks about little victories. And like a little victory can be as small as making your bed, because if your day is shit, at least you come home to a made bed, and like that's what the ice tub is.
Totally.
Like you stare at it and you have all these excuses in your head. It's like, well, I'm sore. Hey, fuck it, I don't have to do it today. But the minute you get in, once you come out, you literally feel like a brand new man.
Yeah, I think we all tend to kind of think about going the easy route of like, like you said, not making the bed. But I feel like every time there's something where your brain says, hey, like, don't worry about it, but then you do it anyway, which that's what discipline is. It overall makes for such a better life, because I just feel like you're overall happier, because if you do that once, then you'll do it again. And before you know it, your entire place will be a mess. Right. And so yeah, it's fun to mess with that kind of stuff. And I think everything comes in phases, which is totally cool. I think a lot of people go ape shit, go all the way, and then they get burnt out, and then they're terrible again for a couple of years, And I'm a believer in, I keep not a too high, not a too low, right? Like same when it comes to diet, I'm a foodie, so I eat anything really, but I have learned to have fun with my job. Enjoy the training side of things, even when it's maybe not the most fun, but the same with the diet, and not be too hard on yourself. And I feel like that's just what has worked for me lately. And I live happy, and that just shows in my writing and everything I do. I'm just overall more enthusiastic with whatever I do.
You can definitely tell with people their energy when they're happy or sad. Like even internally, you can feel it from that individual. You seem like a person that has a really good level head on their shoulders. And the way I've heard you talk in this short amount of time, it seems like your dad played a massively influential part in your life of having this type of success.
Yeah, absolutely. And all my family did, because all what's cool about the sport, we have a very wide range of viewers, and fans, from all the way from newborns till elderlies. So I totally just forgot what I was.
No, don't worry about that. We were talking about your family. Yeah, your family
and
sport.
my mom, she was cleaning the roll-offs back in the day. So when we ride and it's dirty and meaning muddy or it's raining or whatever, we ride roll-offs. So you can pull your roll-off and you get clear vision. Well, back in the day, we didn't have any money.
Roll-offs on the goggles.
On the goggle, exactly. Yep, exactly. You can pull it off. That's a tear off or a roll off. We have these little canisters on the side. And basically when we pull it, we pull the clear film from one side to the other. So we always have clear vision.
Yeah.
But my mom cleaned those back in the day and rolled them back up, because we didn't really have any money to be, buying new stuff all the time.
And it's an expensive sport, right? Like to ride motocross, you have to afford the bike. You have to be able to keep up with the maintenance.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to buy a ball or a bat, that's for sure. But, I think nowadays, we're lucky that this whole e-bike thing, right? It's like electric bikes.
Yeah.
big controversy. Some people love it, some people hate it. What I think is great for little dudes is they can ride in any yard. It doesn't make any noise. So even for my son right now, he's just been riding his Stasic bike, and it's like a mountain bike but electric for little kids, and it's so rad. It just opens up, I think, a whole new era, and I think people from more suburbs or city type living, they can end up
have a little more
getting
fun
into
with it.
that. Yeah, and is the sport expensive? Yeah, it is, but at the same time, when you love it, you love it. You go after it, right?
Yeah, passion seems to find a way.
Totally.
Yeah. When you brought up like changing of bikes, when you're younger and obviously you weren't riding the same bike as you were when you're 3 years old. When you, as a kind of used to be rider, big fan of everything, how was the transition for you going like up from bike to bike? Like what kind of process does that take to like learn the new torque and the speed and the throttle and all that?
So that was a thing that came super natural to me, and it's funny we talk about that because for me personally, I've always switched to the bigger bike at a super early age when I was actually way too small. So I always, I don't know if we're going to call it level up, but I had the luxury of jumping on all kinds of different bikes when I was literally this tall. And for whatever reason, I just knew how to do the clutch. Like, because once you start rolling, I didn't really need my legs, right? I was riding around. So
somebody had to hold you up while you got going. And once you went going.
And you know what I think the ultimate factor is of success too, is that I had fun with everything that I did. Like being a little kid riding bigger bikes that you're technically not supposed to ride. So I had the luxury of riding all these different bikes and playing around with the sport that I was going to pursue. And I think that's what got me so skilled, because I was constantly on them. And it doesn't even have to be a dirt bike, but also bicycles. I grew up riding BMX and dirt jumpers and all this kind of stuff. And I was constantly on it. So I think with anything, it's learning by doing. And I just did it so much that I got super skilled at it. And, rain or shine, I was out there.
Was there ever one like jump up that was difficult, or was it all pretty seamless for you?
No, I mean, it wasn't always easy. Before I turned pro, I feel like I kind of had a little bit of a dip down, because I only really started training, and this is still at a young age, but I turned pro when I was 15. So I had to start when I was 14, and I really prepared myself for starting to race the world championship. And there was that transition before, because I was technically, even at this point, I was still a kid. And between, let's say, 11, 12, 13, 14, right in between there, I wasn't really training, but I was riding and just having fun. If my friends went into town and went to the public pool or whatever, I went with them, So, and then I raced just for fun. But I think a lot of people at that age, they already put in that little bit of extra and training and this and that. So there was a time where I was standing still a little bit, and some other guys became fast, and they were kind of like on my level, but then I wasn't really training yet. So once I started racing GPs, I really started putting in some hours and some discipline and hard work over a few months. I was working, still am, really closely with Red Bull. And so once I started training, I mean, I jumped from here to here. I just made a huge step, and then everybody was like, whoa, what happened to this kid,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was finally starting to put in work, and then I just went after it. And at that young age, I was racing people that are 20, 20, 21, 22, 23. So
At 15
their
years old.
body, their body is just so much more developed, right? And there's good and bad, because as a young kid, you know how it is. You don't really feel that much. Like you don't have any nagging pain, or like you don't get that tired. You just have a whole different feeling. I think as you get older, you get more in tune with your body. So you start noticing all these little things, or getting tired, or you get hot. But at the same time, their bikes were, their bodies were a lot fitter and bigger and stronger and more
handle the
weight.
bike
So
a certain
yeah,
way.
and I was tiny at that point still, and like a scrawny little kid, and I was kind of late too with puberty. So I was full baby face and everything, and it was nuts. It was such a rat time. Now
They're ripping around with 21-year-olds with a baby face, not even hit
Totally.
puberty yet.
Yeah, it was a wild time, and that was really my, I don't want to say come up, but like once I started racing professionally, like I started doing really good at a really young age, and I was with Factory Suzuki back then. Got big time help from Japan, and we were based together with that was on a 250. So I was still riding the smaller bikes, and the 450 is the very top elite bike, and that was basically all one thing. So I got to be able to be around with those guys that have raced the GPs on the top level for many years already. So I was able to learn from them, and I surrounded myself with people that were at that very, very top level, and that allowed me to latch on. And essentially, when I became their age, I just took it to another level when it came to speed and technique, and finding all these little tenths and hundredths that we're really fighting for nowadays. So
It seems like such a detailed sport. Like motocross to me seems like kind of in a similar way like UFC. Like if you watch it from a blind eye, like first time turning it on, you're like, oh, it just seems like guys are just riding or guys are just fighting in the UFC. And then as you pay more attention to it, there's so many minute details.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at tracks, there's obviously like, there's larger tracks, smaller tracks, like more technical tracks. What for you is like something that you're like, oh, I got to make sure and be on my P's and Q's? Are there different like tips you give yourself? You're like, all right, this berm this way. I make sure to shift into this gear. Like kind of take me through. Like let's just use Nashville for instance, and then contrast that to another one that's maybe a little bit different.
Well, that's the crazy part about the sport. It is just never the same. You know, baseball field, football field. Of course, there can be rain and everything, but it's grass and it's flat.
It's 53 and a third wide. It's 120 yards
long.
You
kind of have the same circumstances all the time. Well, for us, depending on what state we go to, all the track, the soil, the weather, everything's different. And not to mention, with our bikes, there's a lot of moving parts, right? So we test suspension, we test motor stuff, we test brakes, we test clutches, because everything that you change on a dirt bike, there's so many moving parts. It changes on all other ends as well, right? Motor affects suspension. Suspension affects me, how comfortable I am on the bike. And there's just it's a never ending story. It really is a never ending story. If you were to be a runner, long distance sprint, whatever, you have your pair of shoes that you dial in and then you're good to go. It's really just how much power output you do. But with cars and motorcycles, MotoGP, whatever it is, there's so many, and you change something a millimeter, like a tiny little bit, it all changes the weight bias on the bike and the CG weight, which is the center gravity weight, depending on where the weight sits on the bike. Every bike's different. Every bike has different measurements, so they all ride different. So we do this sport so often and morning till night that we pay attention and we feel everything that we change. And at the same time, you're opening a whole other can of worms. It's sometimes you chase your tail.
Yeah,
you really do. And then when it comes to the tracks, we race outdoor stadiums, indoor stadiums, in hot weather, and the track gets super dry, and they do the best they can to keep the track the best that they can, but it's always different. Sometimes we race on hard pack. Last weekend was an absolute mutter while we practiced all day on perfect conditions. It was really rocky last week. So it's constantly changing. And our bikes, we're so heavy and we're so many riders. And because the soil can get really soft, the ruts on the takeoffs, the holes, like it's never the same, and it can catch you off guard really quick. So it is important that you are really sharp and really in the moment for the time that you're on a dirt bike.
With all the like minute details, you're talking about like center of gravity and all this, and you change one thing, it changes a whole bunch of other things. The more you ride, obviously, the more aware you become of everything around you, your clutch, your suspension, all that. Is there ever a point, or has there been a point in your career where it's like you maybe became too aware to the point where you're overthinking it a little bit? Like maybe you wiped out or something like that, and you're like, well, it's because of you, because we all. Anytime I've ever been injured in football, I've always found this defense mechanism to be like, well, the reason why I got hurt is because X, Y, and Z. I did this, and this wrong. And if I don't do that again, it's good. But then when you come back from an injury or anything like that, it's like, man, what if this is off? What if that's off? And you kind of tend to overthink it a little bit. I'm running a dirt bike. What if I tend to overthink it a little bit like I'm playing football? Has that ever happened to you?
Absolutely. It happens to all of us at some point, 100%. I think the best thing that you can do when you find yourself getting lost, as much as you can, and I've done that multiple times, I start over. Stock bikes, out of the box. The way that each and every bike is made, they have the test riders in Japan, or depending on where your bike's made from, right? And I've always been a believer in OEM stock bikes out of the box. They are pretty solid, consumer friendly, right? And then from there, you got to figure out what the problem is. Sometimes it could be a measurement, triple clamps where your handlebars are attached to. You can rake those out or bring it closer to you and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes it's just material. Some people have titanium bolts, some have steel. Like there's all different materials, and every single different material has a different compound and feels different, right? So like titanium is super hard and super stiff, and it can create a lot of harshness in your hand. So it's very easy to get confused, and all the more important that you work with a good team, because in the end, it's not just my brain. If we're all collaborating and it works out, we can take the comments and the knowledge that I've gotten over these last few years with the right changes, with a good team behind you, But at the same time, it doesn't always work that way, And sometimes I can do the best training I possibly can and be super far off with my bike, and you're just not winning.
Yeah.
You're not there, and sometimes
when you're getting injured,
or you can get injured. Yeah, it's man, it's so hard, but it makes it so fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reason why. Like, if everybody could do it, everyone would.
Yeah.
If it was easy, what's the phrase? If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
Thank God I landed that plane. When you're like, before you came in here, Mitch's brother, whose name's escaping me right now, he's with us on the bus. He showed me a clip. Was it 2016, 2017? And you went off a jump and you landed like at the like before the landing of another jump, and obviously just filleted your arm, had multiple surgeries. What was like? Just to talk me through why that happened.
Well,
we'll get to the rest later, but why?
right.
Like, why did that happen? In your expert opinion of how you ended up in that situation.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things to look at during that time, which we've had that happen more often, but that is a very wet time in California. We've gotten a lot of rain, and like I said, with conditions changing all the time, well, the transitions between all the jumps before we take off, they're really soft and soggy, and just also inconsistent, right? And then once we started racing, I did basically everything perfectly, but my suspension completely compressed on the bottom of the jump.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just G'd out. And by G'd out, I mean, when we keep hitting it over and over, the hole gets kind of deeper. And my suspension essentially bottomed out and rebounded. And just
pulled your nose forward.
Exactly. And not just that, I think I drug my heels and it ripped my feet off. So as soon as I started going forward, basically doing a Superman, I mean, I have no control at that point anymore, right? I tried to hang on as long as I can to just at least somewhat just straighten my body out a little bit. But I mean, I absolutely faced into the
brother. It was a tough thing to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you went through it. But.
I mean, right now, like I can watch it over and over. I've never really had a problem watching it.
Yeah. Even right after it happened, like you're in the hospital.
I don't really remember. Honestly, the time after was super fuzzy for me because I was in the hospital for almost 4 weeks and I was on a lot of medication. And it scared me a little bit, all the medication stuff, but they're telling me that I'm nowhere near what people normally take.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, between long-lasting morphine and oxy or Dilaudid, whatever they give you, you know what I mean? I don't really remember that much shortly after. There's little highlights here and there, but I was in Vail, Colorado in the Stetman Clinic, which thank God, because Dr. Viola, my arm was post. I mean, absolutely. I dislocated and compound fractured my radial head on my elbow right here. And then my wrist.
For those of you listening, compound fracture means bone out of the skin.
Bone out of the skin. My wrist as well. My radius right here. My ulna was compounded.
Ulna's a little ball.
Right yep, correct, right here. And I actually have quite a bit of nerve damage, which it doesn't bother. It's just numb skin, it doesn't feel that comfortable. But dislocated.
Is that from that's from the bone coming out, right? It tears nerve endings as it comes out of the skin.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not like I can do everything. My movement is good, but it's just the skin that's a little irritated, I guess. Which that's child's play. That doesn't really bother me. But I think the biggest thing was just the compartment syndrome, right? From the impact, so my arm started swelling up. And
what is compartment? What does that mean?
Compartment syndrome is from a really heavy impact or trauma, and then your muscles start swelling and basically cuts off the blood supply. And when that happens and your muscle starts dying, and once your muscle's dead, you amputate your arm. So I was like right on that edge where that could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting surgery, and because my wrist, everything was sandpaper, like it was just shattered into a million pieces
like
and
dust. But when you're talking about essentially your body making its own little tourniquet to cut off the blood supply,
pretty much, exactly.
How does that decision be made? For like the surgery, amputation, like because you're obviously, I'm assuming you got concussed in that thing too. Like
no, actually, my head was fully
you were
clear.
fully conscious,
never out, never nothing.
Had to be in shock.
You know what the crazy part is? That besides this and down, I had zero pain, no nothing.
No way.
I wasn't even sore. I mean, granted, maybe I don't know if I was sore because that was taken off all my attention, but it was literally elbow down to my finger or to my wrist. Other than that, I was completely fine, nothing. And which is crazy because that impact, it could have been shoulder, my chest, my sternum, just because it's like facing a wall, right? And not all crashes are always and injuries are always that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I've broken both of my wrists before and gotten surgery on it, but not to this extent. Like you're out for a couple months or whatever, and that's still heavy. But this was this was a career-ending injury, really.
Yeah.
And that was so when I was in the hospital, surgery was done. That I completely kind of like dislodged myself from the sport a little bit because it was so far away. If I was ever gonna be able to ride or race again, it was so far away, and I kind of just started, even though I was in a hospital, I just started enjoying that, being there, comfortable, and like am I going to be able to race? I don't know. So I might as well like, I started unfollowing everybody from the sport. Just like, it's a sport that I loved, and I kind of like, I was a little mad, and like there was so many unknown questions. I'm just like, man, I need to get away a little bit. You know, my parents came over, and my parents have been separated for a long time, but it was the first time in a long time that like we all felt like a family again. You know, they came over, and they were in Germany, so my entire family is in Germany. So when that happened, my wife, of course, was constantly in contact with them, but it was just a really heavy time of a lot of information. And I hired my own therapist over 2 years. I did my own therapy. Like I was constantly, once I was able to, I was constantly moving my skin to just get sensation, and just started moving stuff
that
around.
proprioception, trying to figure out like
I
your
just
brain has waves that basically tell your arms and legs where to go, and by touching it and feeling it, maybe even putting tape on it sometimes,
all the time,
it'll allow that proprioception to come back.
I actually I laid in the grass for a little bit and started listening to David Goggins. That's kind of like when I found out about David Goggins.
Oh yeah, dude.
I
think he lives in Brentwood. He lives like right up the road.
Oh really?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I heard. I don't know. Don't fact check me on that.
Anyway, well, I started listening to his podcast back then, and that's when he was kind of just starting to like become noticed. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna listen to this guy. And he's kind of like the one that made me. I flipped the switch, like where I'm like, I'm freaking doing this, and I just started hammering away. Basically, didn't give myself any room for air. I told myself I was gonna come back and be the best rider in the world, and just every single day just grinded towards it. Right. I was at super early actually. I wish I would have waited with that a little bit. I started working out again, and like I had a Stairmaster in my house with my arm up in the air, and I was just walking for hours on the Stairmaster. And I'm like, why did I even do that? Because I was a year out from racing, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I had to keep myself busy a little bit. I wish I would have taken that time to like maybe not work out and kind of like actually take it as like, hey, maybe let's rest a little bit, you know, and let this thing do its thing. But I started working full speed ahead, and I think it came with some other problems too. You know, I'm not the best rider in the world, but I feel like the reason I am back at the top level is because I charged after my dream pretty much full speed, hiring my own physical therapist, and even at night, I was just constantly moving it. Elbow is a pain in the ass to get range of motion back. Like my elbow, I still can't lock it out, and my wrists are super stiff. But
you can't get full extension.
Yeah, it's good now because I have it healed over years. Like I kid you not, 3 years later,
And how many surgeries?
I think on my left arm was 11 or 12. There were 8 in the first 3 weeks. I mean, it was just constant. And I backed it up a year later with destroying my right hand, and that was almost a career-ending injury too. So there were just a couple of years of like shit going on, you know what I mean? And then it's been a really tough road ever since. But I'm in a good spot now, and I'm starting to get older too. But I'm having more fun now than I've had in a long, long time, and that's ultimately what it's all about.
Right. When you say at the end of that sentence, I'm getting a little older too, is there a piece of you, because anybody who's able to play a professional sport, whatever category it is, the end always comes for them. Have you ever put that in your mind? Because at one point in our lives, all you thought about was, I'm going to do this forever. All I thought about was, I'm going to do football forever. But at some point, it comes to get us all. Like Father Time comes and gets us. What are, from a transition standpoint, not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but have you put any thought into that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. So retirement used to always sound so far away. I'm turning 29 tomorrow, so I'm not old by any means. But for our sport, a lot of the great.
Brother, once you hit 30, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, I mean,
all of us.
We're kind of changing the stigma around the sport a little bit, because everybody before us, they stopped at 27, which is super early. But there was a lot of stuff going on with overtraining and just getting burnt out and basically being over it. And I think we have all kind of tried to steer away from that and prolong our career, because if I'm being honest, like I'm a little afraid of retirement, not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's a totally normal thing to feel.
In general, I'm a busybody and I have a lot of hobbies and all of this, but at the same time, I've done this my entire life, and I'm just super scared of falling into a just have a big hole somewhere, that this sport gets tough. And do I feel like sometimes I want to be done with it? Absolutely. But then to actually really pull the plug is a whole other story. But that all sounded so far away. But now, like last year, I was in a really shit spot, with my health and just even mentally. Like I was so burnt out on everything, and been with the same team for 6 years. That wasn't working anymore by any means. And I made a huge change and followed my heart, honestly. Like big time move, going with the Progressive XR Suzuki team, and the Pipes family. They have taken me in, and we have worked full speed ahead. We were basically underdogs coming in to the season, and we ended up pulling off. Up until now, we have a few podiums and we have one big win in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work, but my entire life changed from, I feel like, being stagnant and just standing in the same spot and being unhappy, pulling a big move and following my gut and just working towards it and kind of like just restarting my career a little bit and my eager and just kind of learn how to just be badass again. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but we had it tough because the season was about to start. I made the switch and I had 3 weeks on the bike and we had to do a lot of work to the bike and develop it more and more and more. We're the only bike with a kickstart out there, which is kind of cool. I've taken full advantage of it. I have fun with this stuff.
Old school.
It's old school, but I sometimes get made fun of in the beginning of the season when I was kicking my bike because I stalled, like I was bumming around on the track and I stalled it on the side like a dumbass, right? And I'm trying to find neutral. And at that point, I was still pretty new to the kickstart again. But I'm like, what's so funny? Like we have kickstarted bikes for longer than we have electric started it. You know what I mean? So I've just taken advantage of the situation, and we have a Kickstarter. There's no denying it, and I have fun with it. So I make fun of myself. We chromed out my Kickstarter at one point just to highlight it, you know what I mean? And people love it. Like the support that we've gotten from the fans each and every weekend is so rad to see because it's totally different. We're pretty much a privateer team, and we run a lot of stock parts with sponsors, of course, but we're doing our own thing, and we're all pulling on the same string, and we do whatever is best for the bike. And for a rider, that's all you want. That, you know, I've been more on bad bikes in my career than I've been on really good bikes, and now simply because of when you're with factory teams, there's a huge ego, and you're always working in a little box, and we tend to venture out left and right, throw the kitchen sink at the bike, and that's the only reason why we are where we are, because that's how we found out a lot of things, and we started learning. And we're just all working in the same direction, and it's such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, you feel good about it.
Absolutely.
It seems like a calming feeling for you.
Yeah, it is.
Have that.
Yeah, because I'm calm when we're at least doing whatever we can to improve. And then if it's not on our card, so be it. But we tried anything and everything, you know, and not just me personally, but everybody else on the team. So, that's all I want. You know, results are always winning is, of course, I want to win, but
absolutely,
I've had great rides or races where I rode better and, you know, finished on the podium a third or whatever, and not won, but rode a lot better. And I'm content with that, because sometimes shit's out of your control. You go down on the start, you come back, and you can finish a fourth. But if that's really important for the championship, and you're not on the podium, but you had a hell of a ride, that's what I base my feelings off of, you know, how much effort I and the team have put in.
That's awesome. When I first got this opportunity, Mitch reached out about Supercross, and they were giving us an awesome opportunity to speak with you, and they're telling me you're a fan favorite. How does that feel to kind of be the face of a massive sport and know that like fans have your back wherever you're going?
It's the coolest thing ever. I mean, I was en route to get a lot of championships, but it just, with this injury, and it just unfortunately didn't happen the way we planned, and I'm content with it. I'm fine with it. I think we get thrown at us only what we can handle, and even though it gets tough at times, right? But I guess I don't speak that about myself, but if people say that I'm one of the fan favorites, I'm honored, honestly.
Right.
During this injury too, I've gotten so many messages of me helping people, because I think that was right before I started like really kicking ass in what I wanted, even though the odds were stacked against me, and it was a situation that I could be super bummed about and just fizzle down the drain and make nothing out of it. But I decided not to, and it helped so many other people that were in a shit situation as well. So even just that alone, you know, it made it all worth it. And I'm honestly just being myself. I've always been a kid that has been very open. I talk to anybody. I hang out with anybody. I'm an extrovert, actually. So it made things a lot easier, just because I can interact with fans. And of course, when it comes to the riding side of things, you know, I like to have fun, throw whips, do knack-knacks, but race at the very, very top level at the same time, and just do cool shit. Like, I feel like everybody, or a lot of people, tend to go like robots, you know, and the sport, like, it consumes all of us, don't get me wrong, but I tend to have fun and do some freestyle stuff, free riding, and hang out with people from that are more in the freestyle world, and just entertain my people, Instagram followers and everything. But that comes naturally to me. I have fun doing that. So when I can offer stuff to them, and I get a lot of good feedback on it. It's super rad.
It's a vulnerable place being able to put yourself, especially on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, sharing your story of being hurt, working through that, showing your process. But a lot of
share
good
everything.
things. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's being transparent, and especially in the world we live in today, is one of the hardest things to do because so many people via social media want to take advantage of your vulnerabilities.
So freeing though.
Yeah, it really is, because once you just live out there,
Yeah.
there's really no skeletons. There's no one in the back room knocking on the door saying, "Hey, the truth's here." You're telling everybody the truth. You're telling everybody how you actually feel, good or bad.
Yeah.
It makes you feel a whole lot better.
I feel like people, or at least me, I get a lot more uncomfortable if I have shit piled up in me and I don't
Yeah.
talk about it. Like I'm,
And people can feel that too.
yeah, and especially problems. And it didn't used to be like that, but at some point I did. So when I talk to my friends or whatever, like I'm open about when people struggle because I've been uncomfortable at times because it was all new to me, like just being uncomfortable and just mentally and just not in the right place, and it's not a fun spot to be in. So once I started opening up to people, and it just, when people know, and it doesn't have to be strangers or anything, but like at least people around you, when they know how you feel and everything, it just made it feel like they understand and you're just not alone, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I tend to be more of an open book, and in the end, people try to hide in training, and I'm like, we're all do the freaking same thing. I just have fun with it. I post my workouts, whatever I do, and I'm like, if people want to follow it, not everything works for everybody the same way. You know what I mean? So I've taken that ego down, and I've just started to enjoy it and let people in, and people are appreciative, and it's cool.
That's awesome, man. I know we're probably running out of time here, but I have one more question. If I am 3-5 years old getting into dirt bikes and I wanted to see a blueprint of how to race in Supercross, what is the process look like for the individual just learning about Supercross and the process of how to get from an amateur to become at the spot you are now?
Yeah, so I think it all has to start with fun and games. Like I think you can't force it, or I wouldn't want to force it.
Mhm.
My son loves bikes of any kind, and for us, it all started off as fun and games. And what's cool about, and it's a little bit, I guess the amateurs here, I didn't really grow up racing amateurs in the US. Like I know I've raced Loretta Lynn's, which is the biggest amateur race there is every single year, and it's about a week's worth of racing. It's kind of like the Olympics in a way. It's a week worth of racing from 50 cc's, meaning little dudes, to 30 plus. And yeah, mini Olympics, Florida. That was one of my first ones that I ever went to in the US. And but it all started as fun and games for me as a kid. And I think what my parents loved is the camping side of things, us going to the races. And I made so many friends, and we were not on our iPads or playing PlayStation. We were out building jumps, and it all started as that. And as I got better and better, you start local, you venture out, and before you know it, if that's what you want to do, you hit some of the big time amateur championships, I guess, which is mini Olympics in Florida, and Loretta Lynn's is, I think everybody that has won titles here in the US, they have gone through the amateur races like that. So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
But fun. That's all I can say is,
Dude, no doubt. It was truly my first passion in life.
yeah.
Was getting on a dirt bike and riding.
And we tend to forget too, right? Like when things get tough, especially once you do become pro and everything, and then sometimes you're like, man, like you're more, just uncomfortable and it doesn't feel right. But I have learned to let go of some things and really focus on the task at hand and be engaged in the sport and find the fun again. And just that way you alleviate pressure off of yourself, and you start doing better. So I think the biggest thing is you got to start with it being fun.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. This has been awesome.
Thank
It's
you.
been great to meet you. I can't wait to watch your race tomorrow. It's going to be
Appreciate it.
awesome. For those of you listening, please subscribe, rate 5 stars, and thank you for joining us on Bussin' with the Boys.